Welcome back to Namaste React, and this episode is the most important episode of this series. So far in this series, we were just learning React. We have learned a lot of concepts inside React. We have seen a lot of libraries which are required along with React to build these large scale applications. And now the time has come to build our final project. Okay, so now in this episode, we are starting to build a project, right? And all these episodes we are learning React. Now in this project we will be applying all these things whatever we have learned so far in the series, right? We will be applying all that thing to action from scratch. We will be building project from scratch, and I will show you how to write that project and how to scale it, right? So that's what we will see in this whole project. And first of all, before I begin this project and before I tell you what we are going to build in this project, I want to first of all tell you that I already have one project which I built in my live batch, right? I used to teach live classes, right? I have stopped teaching live now, React, right? But I used to teach live classes, and there in for those students I built YouTube, right? I built YouTube. I showed them how to build a lot of cool features inside YouTube. So I would request you to please go ahead, check out the next videos, right? You will find the YouTube project. Go ahead and see how that YouTube project is built, right? And that project was amazing. And I wanted to build something new this time. That is why I'm not building YouTube now, but I will build something else and with more new features, right? But that YouTube project is important. Consider that as a part of this series itself, right? Though it is the recording of my live classes, but please watch that and build that YouTube project. This is very, very important. That is why I am telling you before even starting this episode, right? So the first project is YouTube, right? First project we built was our food ordering app. Then we built YouTube, right? Go ahead, check that YouTube video. And then, right, this project today, we are going to build a new project, right? And I have selected an amazing project for you, and I'll tell you that why it is amazing and what new things we are going to learn, right? We are going to learn few more things which I have not even taught you in this whole episodes, right? So please pay attention and let's build our new project. So let me tell you what our new project is. Dun, dun, dun. So the new project is NetflixGPT, right? So we are going to build a project very similar to kind of like Netflix, right? So I wanted to build a project which is very much relatable. So I am sure that all of you must have already seen what is Netflix, or if people who don't use Netflix might have already used Amazon Prime or maybe Hotstar or maybe other apps, right? A app where you can go and you see the list of movies, right? So all the new movies which are coming up, all the new TV series which are coming up. Let's try to build that, right? And this is just a project, right? It's just what you'll say, it is just one type of a project, but we are going to build exciting features inside this project. Okay, and when you will listen to features, you will be amazed, right? So first feature that we are going to build is that we are going to see how authentication works, right? A lot of students asked me, right, in my Discord channel that Akshay, please bring authentication. Akshay, please teach us authentication. I told them that authentication is something very much related to backend, right? If I were to teach Node.js, then I would have taught you authentication in a much more proper way. But still, I wanted to teach you some portion of authentication. So what I did, I won't be diving into Node.js, but we will be using Google Firebase to have our backend, and then we will connect our React application, right? Our React application to that Firebase backend. Okay, so that way we can see how authentication works, right? How we can create protected routes, right? How you can protect the route from authentication, right? So if the user is logged in, then only go to a certain page, right? We will be building that flow, right? So we will cover that, right? So authentication we will cover in this project, and we will also cover form, right? How to handle form, how to handle a sign up form, how to handle a sign in form, and form kind of thing, right? So I have covered authentication and form, which I have not covered so far in series. I wanted to cover that in this project, right? And what I'm going to build next is I'm also going, carefully listen to the name NetflixGPT. So it is kind of like a mix of Netflix plus GPT. What is GPT inside this? So we are going to use ChatGPT APIs to search for movies. How cool would it be, isn't it? So we are going to build Netflix GPT, where we will give an input box and a user can write anything, right? Suppose you don't know what movies to watch, but you know that I want to watch a funny Indian movie, right? So recommend me some. So Netflix GPT will use its GPT power and will search for you new amazing cool movies, and we will give him suggestions. Right? Suppose if you want to watch, maybe if you typed over there that I want to watch few more funny movies, which are very much like Three Idiots, right? So it will give you suggestions. So basically, you can use the power of GPT inside your project, right? And you can build features. See, I am building Netflix GPT, but tomorrow, using this knowledge, you can use this GPT APIs in any project you wish to. Right? So don't restrict yourself just to movies GPT or Netflix GPT. You can use this knowledge into our whole food ordering app also, right? Suppose if you integrated that GPT thing in your search bar of your food ordering app, right? Suppose, let me give you an example. Suppose I am saying that I want to try something spicy Indian food or spicy Chinese food, right? And you write on the top, and then your food ordering apps can give you suggestions, right? Based on the GPT results. How cool would it be? Isn't it? So that's what I want you to build, right? So don't restrict yourself to few projects, and don't tie yourself to these projects, but open your mind and think what underlying features I am teaching you, and then pick up those features, pick up those concepts, and build all the projects you wish to. Right? So some people think that Akshay has only taught us 3 projects, right? Maybe one is food ordering app, then YouTube, and then this movie's GPT. But let me tell you, the concepts used in these 3 projects are very much sufficient to build a lot more projects. Suppose if you have to build an e-commerce website, everything required to build an e-commerce website, you already know. I have already covered that in my series, right? So don't restrict yourself to these projects only. Use the underlying concepts. Understand how I am building a certain features, and pick up those features and put it anywhere you wish to, right? So sign in. I will be doing authentication. I will be teaching you forms. I will be teaching you GPT and a lot more exciting stuff. Whatever we have learned so far in this series, we will be doing everything. Right? So, and let me tell you, I will also be focusing upon CSS this time, right? Why I picked up Netflix was Netflix has a beautiful UI. Let's try to make a beautiful UI also. Right? So a lot of people said that, Akshay, you have not stressed much upon making the website look beautiful. I will try it, right? I will try it in this project. Everything that you have seen in this series so far, it will be kind of like a recap and much more than everything. And everything that I will be using today in this project will be very latest. I am recording this episode in August of 2023, and let me tell you, everything that I am using is latest at today's level. Right? So I want you to teach the latest of everything. So let's get started with our project. Hope you are excited, and let's just begin. In our food ordering app project, right, when I was teaching you Namaste React episode 1, remember, right? So I started from scratch, right? From the scratch, and we used Parcel as a bundler, and we built our project from scratch. But today, I am going to use Create React app to build our project. Okay, so I am using a Create React app. I want to give you both the knowledges, right? So if you have to build your project from scratch using a bundler and compiling everything, right? You have that knowledge already, and now I am going to show you that how you create a project using a Create React app, or how you write a command and it generates a project for you and you start using it. A lot of companies, when you will work in a company, will be using something like this, right? Kind of like a scaffold, right? It is known as a scaffold, project scaffold, and Create React app gives you kind of like a folder structure already, a scaffold, a demo application, and then you build on top of it. Right? So we will be using Create React app, and let us just see how we can use Create React app, and let's start building our project. Okay. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I am opening my terminal, right? So here I have this my terminal, and let me just go to desktop, right? How do you go to desktop? CD desktop. Okay. So I have my desktop with me. Now I will write one command. Hope you are able to see this. Okay. I am increasing the font a little. Right? So this is our desktop, and now I'm going to write a command which is known as npx create react app, right? Write this command and then the name of your project. Okay, the project, I'm calling my project as NetflixGPT. Okay, I'm calling my project as NetflixGPT, so you can write the name as whatever you wish to. I am writing NetflixGPT over here and hit enter. And now it will take some time, right? It will take some time and it will install a lot of packages for you, right? And it will create a basic folder structure for you, and you don't have to start everything from scratch. Let me tell you, just like we use parcel in our project, this create react app uses webpack behind the scenes. Okay, so webpack is also a bundler, right, which does a similar job like parcel. Okay, so it is using webpack, it uses jest, it is, we configure testing library on our own, right? But it will give you testing support out of the box, right? It would have installed React testing library already into your app, right? So a lot of scaffolding things it will automatically do for you, right? So that is why a lot of developers prefer to use these scaffolds, just like create react app with them, right? So there are a lot more, bundlers which gives you this out of the box, right? You can create your project using create react app, or like I taught you, or you can create your create your react project using Vite, right? There is something known as Vite, VITE, which is also getting popular these days in this industry. So go check it out, that, right, if you are interested in this domain. But otherwise, you can directly use this create react app and it will give you a basic folder structure already, right? So now I think it has been completed, right? So our terminal job is done, right? So we have this Netflix GPT project with us, right? Now let us just open this project in our VS Code, right? So let's open this project in our VS Code. And when you will open this, you will see that a lot of things, right? A lot of things are already present, right? A lot of things are already present in this, right? So what is this? We did not create this. It already has a app.js. It already has a public repository, right? So what are these things? So basically, all this was created by the command that we ran, right? npx create react app and your app name, right? And it created a project for you already. Now, what we are going to do, we are going to use this project, right? And let me tell you, it did some magic behind the scenes. It took us a lot of time to set up parcel, to set up testing library, to set up bundler, to set up all these things. We created everything from scratch, but this one command does everything for you, right? It has created everything for you and it has given it to us. Now we will just start building very soon, right? It speeds up our development process. I will show you a lot more smarter things while I'm building this project, how you can create a project very fast. So if you have to create a project very fast, you can use this create react app. It will give you a basic project structure already, right? So now if you'll go to package.json, it already has some scripts. Remember, we created this start script with the build script, the test script. It already gives you the script out of the box. So it already has a start and a build script already with them, a test script, right? So we will just directly start using the commands. We don't have to set up anything, right? Earlier we had to set up, now we don't have to set up anything. Okay, so how will I start my project? Just write npm start. Write npm start or write npm run start. Both are the same thing, okay? npm run start and npm start is the shortcut for npm run start, okay? So I'm writing npm start. If you hit this, your project will automatically start, right? And will open onto the browser. And you see this. We got this page. And this page, my dear friends, is a basic React page, right? Edit, and it says that edit source app.js and save to reload, right? It automatically gives you a lot of things by its own, right? And it has created a basic app for you. If you'll see, app.js consists of this basic home page, right? This is the home page. This is the React logo which is spinning, right? Here is the React logo. This is spinning over there, right? And it has a lot of things, right? It has learn React, edit this code, right? So suppose if I write hello world, right? I can just write hello world and let me just save it, right? Let me just save it. If I do a command S, I saved this file, and let me go back. See this, it already gives you HMR out of the box. We don't have to set up anything, right? The hot module replacement is already present. I just have to save my file and it automatically refreshes my page over here, right? And our first hello world program is built within few minutes, not even a minute, right? We just ran that command and we started our project, and we can start building our React app like this. Amazing, isn't it? So this is the power of Create React App, which I wanted to teach you, right? And I also wanted to tell you that it already has testing set up. See this? Somebody has already written test cases for it. You can start writing test cases out of the box, right? So testing support is already there. It has just given everything, the whole setup to you itself, right? It has kind of, React is a library, but it has kind of developed a framework on top of it, right? On top of React. So that's how you can put it up. That's not a very good definition, but you can assume it to be. Okay. So now let us just start building something. So what we will do is, first of all, let me delete everything, right? I don't want this page. I want to start everything from scratch, right? I don't want this page. I don't want this React logo and all, right? So let me just delete everything. Let me just delete these test cases also, right? I don't want to confuse people, right? So let me move to trash. I'm deleting this file, right? And I don't need this setup test, or maybe keep it like this only. I don't need this logo for sure. So let me delete this logo. So I have deleted the logo and I have deleted all these things. And let me remove this import logo also, right? And let me keep the CSS file, right? So see this. So they have used normal CSS over here, right? They has used normal CSS. We will be using Tailwind, right? In our app, we will be using Tailwind, right? For CSS. So we will soon set up. But over here, let me remove everything, right? Let me remove this header also, right? Let me remove this header and let me write hello, or maybe why to write hello? Let's write namaste everyone. Everyone, let's build Netflix GPT. Okay, let's build Netflix GPT. I have cleared everything. Let's go back. Cool. So we have got this empty page. This is what I was looking for. I wanted to build everything from scratch, my dear friends. Okay. So let's build, right? So namaste everyone. Let's build Netflix GPT. Cool. So I don't want any JS, and this is CSS. Let me remove everything in CSS also. Index.css. Let me remove everything in app.css, right? So let me remove everything. Cool. So what we are going to do now is, let us start with the first things first, right? Let us start with the first things first. The first thing is, let us set up our project, right? We will be using Tailwind in our project. So let's set up Tailwind over here, right? So let me show it to you how you can set up Tailwind, right? And I will also, a lot of people told me, Akshay, you have told us the command, right? I can install Tailwind over here, right? I know. I have done it so many times that I remember the exact commands and everything, right, by myself. But I want to tell you that how you can find out, right? How you can find out how to install Tailwind in your application. So suppose I want to teach you the whole process, right? I want to dive deep and teach you everything, right? I don't want to give you like just commands and just run it and it will work. I want to tell you. So how will you install Tailwind? Let's go to our Tailwind website and find it out, right? Right? How will you do? Find out how to install Tailwind, right? Go to Tailwind CSS website. This is the Tailwind CSS website. Click on Get Started, right? And go to Framework Guides, right? Go to Framework Guides and see Create React App. So remember, we went over here, and suppose if you are using Parcel, you have to do it like this. If you are using Next.js, you have to follow these steps, and all the framework. If you are using other frameworks, other libraries, you can choose whatever you wish to. Right now, we are interested in this Create React App. Okay, let me click on Create React App, and gives you these steps how you can set up, right? How you can set up into Create React App. Okay, so this is how you do it. So let me show it to you. First of all, npx create react app my project. You don't have to install the project because we already have a project. So you have to skip this project, skip this step, right? Create your project. We already have a project with us. Now, how to install Tailwind CSS? You have to install Tailwind CSS and you have to do npx tailwind init, right? Let me copy both of these commands. Hope you are able to see it. Let me zoom it a little, right? So both these commands I have copied, right? And let me go back to our app and let me run these commands in the terminal, right? I have ran this command in my terminal over here, right? So it installed two things. It installed Tailwind and it also installed config, right? And you will notice that we have got this tailwind.config.js, right? In our project, we have got this tailwind.config.js automatically. We have got this automatically. Now Tailwind website says that you have to configure the path, right? Remember when I was teaching Tailwind in our Jo Dikhta Hai Wo Bikta Hai episode, right? In this episode, I told you that we have to add this, right? We have to add this content, right? So please add this, right? Into your tailwind.config.js. Let me add this up. Why do we add this? If you don't know why do we add this, go back and check out Jo Dikhta Hai Wo Bikta Hai series, right? I have covered this in detail. Okay, so you have configured your Tailwind now. Now I just have to write three things in my CSS file, right? So this is index.css, right? Write it inside your index.css, basically on your main CSS file, right? Write it inside this index.css file, whatever CSS you have to push in. Okay, whatever CSS you have to push in, just write it inside your index.css file, and then you just have to run your project and everything will work. That's all the setup we need for Tailwind inside our Create React app. Okay, so let us see if it is working or not. Let us see if we have got Tailwind into our app or not. Okay, so let me close these files. Let me go back over here and we have this namaste. Let us just start writing some Tailwind classes over here, right? Let us give it text. Let's increase the text font, right? So if I write text 3XL, right? So it will give me a large font, right? Remember, so I think you must be remembering what is Tailwind, right? If you don't know, take a recap from the Tailwind lesson, right? So we write class names over here. So this is the class name, right? This is the class name which will increase the font of the project, and then let's make it bold also, right? Font of maybe, let's make it font of bold, right? Font bold, and let's give it some color also, right? How do you give it color? So if you have to give color to your text, it is like text and then the name of the color. So suppose if you want to make text red, so you can do it like this. Text green, you can do it like this, and you can pick up the shades of green also, right? Let's pick up text green 800. It is a much more bolder version of green, right? Let me save it, right? If I save it, go back to my website. Let's go back to our app, right? And it did not work for some reason. Why? Okay, I think we have not started our project, right? Okay, my bad. I have to start my project again. npm start. Cool. So we have our project running. Let me refresh the page and see if Tailwind works. See this. Tailwind works. We have increased the font and we have green over here. So that means Tailwind is completely successfully configured in our project. Got it? So till far, we have studied two things. We have studied what? Let me go to README and let us keep writing down, right? Writing down all these steps. NetflixGPT. Okay, so let me take down notes. So first thing what we did was, we did a create React app. Okay, we created a create React app. Now we have configured Tailwind CSS into our app, right? We have configured Tailwind CSS, right? These are the two things we have done. Let me just keep updating my README as soon as I go. We have got our Tailwind CSS with up, right? With us, we have got our Tailwind CSS. So now we will now, right? This was the second part. Now we will start building our project. So what project we are going to build? First of all, let me tell you, right? I have not even told you how it will look, right? So we are going to build something like Netflix, right? So let's go to netflix.com. right? If you'll go to netflix.com, it gives you who is watching. Let me just go over here and it gives you this, right? If you will look at this, see this, right? Amazing, right? So you see that a trailer is running behind. A trailer, it has a header. It has a trailer, right? Let us do some planning. It has a header on the top. It has a Netflix logo. It has a user icon. And it has a trailer. And if you refresh the page, you see, right? It shows you the name of the movie and then some description of the movie and then a play button, right? And in background, it plays the trailer. And it also shows you a lot of new movies, right? These are a lot of new movies and it shows you the list of movies downside, right? It shows you the list of movies on this browse page. On this browse page. Okay, so let us write down the features that we are going to build, right? That will help you. So let me show you the features that we are going to build. FEAT features, right? Features. So first of all, right? So first of all, we had this features. In this features, what did we see? We have suppose we have a browse page, right? We were on the browse page. In this browse page, we have a header, right? We have a header. We have a background movie playing, right? So basically, we have a header, right? What else do we have over here? Apart from header. So what I'm trying to see, if you will do this planning beforehand, right? I want to plan these features out. When you will do planning properly, then it will be very easy for you to build the website, right? So the planning is what I am doing. So this is the browse page. This browse page has a header. And then we have a main movie over here, right? This is the main movie, right? We have a main movie. And in this main movie, we have a trailer over here, right? First of all, trailer in the background. Trailer in background. I'm writing down whatever is there, right? Whatever we have to kind of build. Trailer in background. Then we will have the movie title and description, right? Title and description. Description. Do you see that title and description, right? Here we have title, description and play button, right? And then what we will have down, we have movies list, right? We have this movies list and there are several rows inside it, right? Movie rows, right? So basically we have a movie, basically it's like a movie suggestion, right? Movie suggestions, right? Movie suggestions. And then we have movie lists inside it, movie list into N, right? Into N, a lot of movies list, right? This is what it is, right? And if you will see, these are like vertically scrollable, right? These are vertical scroll, right? These movies list have a lot of movies. So it has trending movies, it has Indian shows, it has comedy movies, it has popular movies and all that stuff, right? This is what is Netflix browse page, isn't it? Right? And this browse page is what comes when you are logged in, right? This is for a logged in user, isn't it? But what if somebody is not logged in? Let me log out, right? Let us see how it is when we log out, right? Let me log out. Yes, I am leaving so soon. Yep. So we have this Netflix homepage, right? So we have a homepage, and then if you'll click on this sign in, we have a sign in page also, right? We have this sign in page, right? We have this sign in page. We have a sign up, sign in, right? Over here. And once the user signs in, then it goes to the browse page, right? Suppose if you are not logged in, if you try to go to that browse page, what will happen, right? If you try to go to that browse page, it will take you to the login screen. Amazing, right? So I am trying to discuss all the features that we are going to build. So we are going to build, so this is a browse page, only comes after authentication, right? After authentication. And if you are not authenticated, it has a login or a sign up screen, right? So we will build this login sign up page, right? This login sign up page. What will this login sign up page has? This login sign up page will have a sign up and sign in screen. Once you enter this email password and click on sign in, then it will take you to browser, right? It will contain a sign in, sign up form, sign in, sign up form, right? And once you are logged in, then redirect to browse page, right? So we have all these cool things, right? And on top of this, we are going to add another page, which is Netflix GPT, right? Netflix GPT. So Netflix GPT will have a search bar, right? Search bar, and according to the search bar, it will give us movie suggestions. Got it? So these are the features we are going to build, and we will see right from scratch how we can build it, and we will try to make it look beautiful. Right? We are building that. We are building a lot of core amazing thing. You will learn a lot of amazing things. You will learn a lot of Firebase. You will learn how to handle forms. You will learn how to use ChatGPT or GPT APIs, and a lot of amazing things. I will tell you step by step everything, my dear friends. Don't you worry. Let's get started with our project code. Right? So we have figured out, right, what we are going to build. Now, when this planning is done, now let us just start slowly building things, right? So when we have discussed this, let's start slowly building from the start itself, right? From this is Netflix, right? So let's start building from here only, right? From this login page. Let us build this login page. Are you okay? Right? So let's build this login page. Are you ready with it? Or let's take a break, right? Before we build this, let's take a break at this moment. Okay? I have been speaking continuously since a long time. So let's take a break. You also take a look at these features. Think about how you will build. And I will take a small break. Set up your project till here, right? Do a create React app. Configure Tailwind, right? And I would want you to code along with me, right? So take a project, build a create React app till here, add Tailwind to it, right? And then explore the Netflix website, right? And now when we come over here, we will start building it. Okay? So we are taking a break. I need a break. I want to go and drink some water, and we will come up, right? And we will and what we will do is we will keep, we will keep committing our code also. So till now what we have done, this is my initial commit. So the first commit is I have set up CRA. I have created and set up Tailwind, right? CRA and Tailwind. This is what we have done till so far. And now we will start building it even more. Okay. So we will build it feature by feature slowly, and you will be amazed, right? So let's take a break and come back very soon. Welcome back, my dear friends. Now, what I want you to do is, first of all, go and create a GitHub repository and write your code inside your GitHub repository, right? Everything that you will do, you have to do it in your GitHub repository, and let me show it to you how you can configure your project with GitHub, right? Okay. So first of all, go to your GitHub and create a new repository, right? Create a new repository, go to this page, write a name, Netflix GPT. Okay. Write a name, Netflix GPT. Right over here, you can give it a description if you want to. I am creating a public repository, right? So that you all can see the code of this, right? I have created a public repository, and let me click on create repository. It will create a repository for you. Now you will reach this page. Now, see, you have to do this, right? Push an existing repository from command line. Okay. So you have to just click on this, right? Copy all these commands. Basically what it is doing is it will connect this project. It will set the remote to that repository, right? It will set up the remote to this Netflix GPT, right? Netflix GPT. Oh, I think I misspelled this. I misspelled the name as NPTLIF. Okay. Let me create another repository, right? Let me go back and let me create another repository, Netflix GPT. Sorry, my bad. That was a name error. Typo mistake. So I created Netflix GPT public folder. I will delete that empty repository. Go over here. In this page, you have to do this. So basically, it will set up the remote to this, and it will set up the main branch in your project, and it will push, right? So you have to run these 3 commands over here, right? Let me just run these 3 commands. So it will set up, right? And once you will push, right? So now your code will be here in NetflixGPT. If you refresh the page, my code is pushed. See this? My code is pushed already, and we will keep updating this also as we go ahead. So it will show you all the features. It will keep updating the NetflixGPT along with our commits. You will be able to see our commits also, right? It has 2 commits, right? CRA and Tailwind that we made, and we will keep committing our code like this, and we will be right, and we will keep building our app also. So if you want to check out the code, you can go ahead in this and check out the code, right? I will pin this repository right on how I can star mark is. Okay, I can star mark this. You can star mark, please star mark this, right? And you can just fork this repository and play with it if you wish to. Okay, but I would suggest you to write your own code, build your own Netflix GPT app. Okay, don't copy mine. Okay, so let's get started. Let's come back. Now let us just start building login page. Okay, so what I follow is generally I build my components in a new folder itself, right? So I want to start with a components folder. Okay, components folder. You can structure your project however you want to, let me tell you, right? But I would like to structure it like this. I want to have a components folder, and I also love to have a utils folder. Remember, utils folder will have all the utilities. Suppose there are some constants, suppose there are some other files which are required for any components, some shared things that will come as utils, right? Inside utils. Okay, so components will have components. Let's create a new component, login.js. Right, let's create a new component, login.js over here, right? And now let me tell you one more cool thing about VS Code is if you write RAFCE, right? RAFCE, right? So, and hit enter, right? And hit enter. See this, it automatically generates a boilerplate for a component for you. Right? So this is kind of like a magic. This speeds up the process, right, of creating a component. Otherwise, I would have to write this functional component and then return a JSX and then export it by default. Instead, you can write something like RAFCE. What is RAFCE? React Arrow Function Export Component, right? So basically, this says that React Arrow Function Component Export, right? This is the full form of this. If you write RAFCE and hit enter, it automatically creates a component for you, login component, and exports it. So I would be using RAFCE. You also use RAFCE in your VS Code. If it is not working for some reason, just go ahead and Google it, like why it is not working. Okay, but it will work for you, right? If you will set up a React project, right? Make sure you have a JS or JSX file, right? Then only it will work. Cool. So RAFCE. Now this is our login component, right? Here we will build our login component. Now, if you will see on the login page, what all do we have? We have a header over here, right? We have a header. Let's build a common header, right? Let's build a common header, and in that header, and then we have a sign in page also over here, right? We have a sign in page over here, right? So let's try to build this login page, or call it sign in page or whatever, right? Let me call it login page, and let us also have a header component, right? Header.js. Cool. So we will have a header, we will have a login. Cool. And in our app.js, what we will do is let's create a body component, right? Let's remove everything for now. I want an empty thing, and I don't want to do anything inside my app. My app should only have, I want to keep my app component clean. Okay, so let me keep my app component clean. It just have a div, right? Or maybe not even a div. Let me just have a body over here, right? Let me create a body.js, and it will just have a body.js. Got it? This is basically like the body of HTML, right? So similarly, we will have a body component. Let me create a body component also. We will do everything in a hierarchical fashion. So I don't want to touch app.js again and again. Okay, that's kind of like a root parent component, and inside that everything is, right? So let me have my body component also, right? Let's create a body.js, and I am writing RAFCE, hit enter, it created a component for me. Similarly, a header component also let me generate a boilerplate component. Got it? So we have a header body login component in app.js. Let me get my body component, and if I hit enter, import body from component/body. Got it? And I don't need my app.js anymore, app.css, sorry. And I'm removing my app.css. Let me get rid of this app.css. It's empty anyways. Move to trash, right? So I have my body component inside app.js, right? And everything is done inside my body, right? My body will now contain, not my body, basically my app's body, will now contain this login component, right? So we have this login component with us, right? It will have a login component, and it will also have a browse component with it, within it, right? It will also have a browse component, right? So what I am telling is, this is a browse page, right? We will create this browse. Okay, let me create a browse component already, right? Anyways, we'll have to create it later on, but let me create it right away. Okay, why not? browse, browse.js. Okay, so we will use it. Let me write rafce, again a component, right? rafce, and now this is the browse component, and let me go to my body component, and let me have my browse component here, right? I will have my browse component also, right? And now if you will go back to our app, this is our React app, right? Okay, I think it's not running. npm start. Cool. So let me start my app, and now if I refresh the page, we have a login and browse component here, right? So now let us focus on login page. We will come on to browse page later on. Okay, we will also have to set up routing, right? Let us set up routing. If we are on the home page, let's go to login page. If we are on the /browse page, let's go to browse page. Okay, can we set up routing? Before creating login screen, let's set up routing also, right? All the setup things will be done, and then we can full-fledgedly build the project then. Okay, so how do you set up routing? You already know, right? Hope you remember the commands. It's npm install -d react router dom, right? React router dom, right? We have this react router dom library. We will be using this, right? Now we have this react router dom. Now what we will do, let us create a routing over here, right? Shall we create a routing over here? Okay, let's create a routing over here. I have my constant app router is equals to, hope you remember this. This is nothing new what I am doing, right? What you will do, create browser router. Okay, you will do a create browser router. This consists in array of path, right? It will have different type of path. So if the path is, suppose if the path is / right, on my home page, I want to show my login screen, right? I want to show my login screen. Okay, so what component? You can have the body component over here, isn't it? I can write element as body, and then I can create another path, right? I can create another path. How will you create another path? Let me call that as /browse, right? I am just following the convention which Netflix follows. If you go to browse, it takes you to the browse page, and that browse page is basically that page where it basically this route is authenticated. If you are authenticated, then only you move to this route, otherwise you don't. Okay, so this browse page, this browse page will have element browse. Cool. Now we have our app router, and now how do you provide this routing, right? For that we will import a router provider, right? A router provider. Okay, router provider, right? Router provider from React router dom. And this router provider, so now instead of my login and browse, I will have to just give my router provider, right? If you don't know this, so basically, when we are building this project, this is kind of like a recap of all what we have studied so far in this series, right? So there was a episode, right, exploring the world, right? They're not exploring the world. Let's explore the path, or let's get our path. I don't remember the name also, but it was something like path, right? Let's find the path, something like this. So watch that episode if you are not aware of this. But I covered this router provider and everything, right? Creating the routing over there in detail. right? So let's do this. In a router, we have to give our app router, right? So this router provider is coming from this, and this is how we do it, right? So why it is throwing an error? Why it is throwing an error over here, right? Has no corresponding closing tags. Okay, I did not close it, my bad. Cool. So we have this router provider. Router is app router. So now my routing is done. If I'll go back, right? If I'll go back and if I'll, okay, first of all, I'll have to run the project, right? npm start, right? If I start my project, go back over here, refresh the page. Cool. So we have router inside another router. Why? Router inside another router? Is there some problem? Okay. Sorry. It is, we got into a amazing bug, right? So see what it is saying, router inside another router. Why it is showing that? Because I have built body inside my body, right? Body inside my body. That is why it is showing, right? So it is kind of like an infinite loop. I am referring to body inside my body. It should be login screen. My bad. Sorry folks. My bad. So on slash we will have a login screen. On browse we will have a browse screen. Let us see. Refresh the page. See this. On slash we have login screen. Let us go to slash browse. If I go to slash browse, we have this browse, right? We have browse component. On login, on slash we have login. So you can also build a home page and can have a slash login on login. You can do all that stuff, right? But first of all, let us focus on building this login screen. Okay. So let us start building this login screen. In my login screen, right? In my login screen, first of all, I will have a header, right? Let's create a header, right? Let's build this header. Okay. This header, how will my header look? So the header will have the Netflix logo and a user icon or something like that, right? It will have a Netflix logo. Let me see, copy image address, right? Let me go to netflix.com. This is the Netflix website. Let me copy their logo if I can, right? And let me have my image over here, right? img tag, src, and I have this URL, right? This is Netflix logo. And let me also give a alt text over here, logo, right? And let me save it up, right? So my image is over here. And is it done, right? img src. Let me save this file. Let me go back to my login screen. It is not here. Okay, because I don't have my header imported in my login, right? Let me import the header over here, right? So let me get the header inside my login screen, right? Let me get the header inside my login screen. So I have my header over here, imported from /header. Got it? Now if I go back, oh my God, I wanted this Netflix logo. I think it has copied this background image. Is it? Anyways, we needed the background image also, right? But it should not be inside header, right? My header should have Netflix app. I think this URL was of that background image, right? Okay, my bad. So what we'll do is, I am also doing it on the fly, right? I'm also doing it for the first time. So I am okay to make mistakes, okay? So don't mind if I make mistakes. So this background image has come up, but this background image is looking cool, right? So let's keep this. But I want to keep this image inside my login page, not in my header, right? Let me add this inside my login page, right? Below the header. I need my image below the header, and let's put this image inside my div tag, right? I don't want to. So I have my header, and then I will have my login page components also, right? So okay, I think now cool. So now I want my header also, right? I want my header. So my header should have this Netflix logo, right? Where is my Netflix website? Here is my Netflix website. Open image in new tab. Okay, so how will I get my Netflix logo here? Inspect. Let me see if I can find this Netflix logo. Cool. This is my Netflix logo. I think this is an SVG. SVG. Let me refresh the page once. Image, img. So I'm trying to find out that Netflix logo. preview. Yep, cool. I have got my Netflix logo here. Did you see this? How did I find my Netflix logo? Go to Netflix website, to their login screen, refresh the page, and over here in the IMG, right, in the networks tab, you will find this Netflix logo. And you can go to headers and you will get the logo also, right? If you'll open a new tab, it will download the logo. Okay, so basically I want to copy the path of this logo. Copy path, copy link address. Okay, so if you'll right click, copy link address, right, it will give you the link address to the PNG. Okay, so this will give me the logo, I guess, IMG SRC, and then this will give me the path to this logo, right? Netflix logo PMS. What is PMS over here? anyways, I don't know why they have named it as PMS. Oh my god. Anyways, so alt text. Okay, this is my alt text, and my alt text is logo, right? And closed image text, and I have my logo in my header. If I go back to my app, oh my god. Now I want this to overlap, right? How I will make it overlap is in my header, I will give it some CSS, right? Let me give it some CSS. Basically, I want my whole header to overlap, right? So I will give it some CSS. I will give it property absolute, right? Let's make it absolute. Div class absolute, right? Cool. So this overlapped. Now I want to reduce the size of this header, right? Netflix. Let's give it some property to this image. Let's give it some width of maybe 40 or 30 something, right? Let's give it some width of 36 maybe. Let's see. Cool. This looks good, right? But this is very small, I think, right? It can be a little bigger. So let's give it maybe 40 something, right? Is there something like 40, right? Width of 44. Okay, let's see how it looks at 44. Cool. This looks much better, right? This looks much better, and it's not visible properly. Why? We have to make it, right? We have to do a, let's give it some background, right? Background gradient or something, right? And let's give it some padding margin also, right? Let's give its padding on x-axis as maybe 8, right? And let's give it padding of y as 2, right? A little bit of padding on the top and a lot of padding on the right hand side. And let's give it some maybe background also, right? Background of, you know how to give it background gradient? So let me show it to you. Background gradient to right, to top, or to right, to bottom. So basically what I want to give, background gradient to bottom, right? To bottom, right? Let's give it background gradient to bottom, and from black, right? So from black color, give a background gradient to bottom, right? This is how you write CSS inside Tailwind. Okay, I'm trying to make it beautiful. See, now my logo is properly visible also, right? Did you get it? I'll show you what that gradient thing did, right? Let me remove this absolute. If I save it, see this, it gave you the gradient like this, right? So you understood. I want to explain you these small Tailwind things also, right? So in Tailwind, if you do background gradient to bottom, this is the meaning of this background gradient to bottom. This is the gradient to bottom, and I have from black. So in the black color, give it from top to bottom, right? So from black, right? So let me make it absolute so that it overlaps again. Cool. So now our header looks cool, right? It is much more visible, our Netflix logo. Now let me go back to my, so I have got my header, right? Now I have to build my, so I have built my header, right? I have built my header, and my header should also have my user icon, right? On the right. Do I have a user icon on the right? Okay, it does not have a user icon on the right. So let's skip over here, right? Let's skip for now. Cool, no issues. I thought it would have a user icon on the right, but we have built this header, right? And now we will build our login form. Let's build our login form, isn't it? Let's build our login form. Cool. Let's build our login form also. right? So now I have to build my login form. I'll go to login page. So we have this. Now we have to build a login form like Netflix. This Netflix has the login form in the what will say over here, right? So on the top. So let's try to build something like this. Okay, so I am in my login page. Let me remove my header page. Let me remove the body page. Let me remove the browse page. Let me remove this app.js. Okay, I want to keep it clean. So this is my div. Now let me build my login form, right? I have my form. So now I will show you how to build your own forms inside React, right? So this is the form, right? In this form, I can have multiple input, right? So our form will have input, right? Let's have input and let's give it type of text, right? Type of text, and it will have my email, right? So let me give it a placeholder as email, right? Maybe email, right? Email address, and then maybe a input, a type, a placeholder, and maybe, right? And we will put some CSS also, right? First of all, right, let me put some CSS. Let's give it some padding margin. Let's give it padding of 2, margin of 2, and I don't know. Let's settle for this. And let me create more input box, right? Another input box which has password, right? PASSWORD, password, right? And let's give it type of password, right? So we have an email ID and a password, and we will have a button, right? A submit button or something, right? Let me have a submit button, call it submit, right? Or maybe sign in, right? Let's call this button as sign in, right? Sign in, and then this button can have some class names, and let's give some padding margin to this button as well. Button of padding of maybe 4, I think, and then margin of 4, and then maybe let's give it some, I don't know. Let's see how it looks, and then we will alter the CSS accordingly. Okay, hope you are enjoying it. Hope you are enjoying this, right? If you are enjoying this, right, then what you'll say, if you are enjoying this, please share it upon social media, right? It helps me a lot, right? I am teaching you. I want this knowledge to be spread to a lot of other developers also. Please write good about us on social media. That will help us reach more people. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And let's continue the learning process. So we have built our form, small sign-in form, text, which is email, password, email address, password, and a sign-in button. Let's see how it looks on the page. Oh my God, it's not even visible on the page. Oh my God, it's not even visible on the page. I think it has gone behind this, right? So what we'll have to do is, let me give this form some class name, and let me give it some, maybe let me give it some let me give this some padding, right? Some padding of maybe what I'll say, padding of 12, maybe, I don't know, padding of 12, and let's give it some background of black so that it is visible. First of all, let's see where it is. Oh my God. Okay, the form is here below this, right? But I want to overlap that form also. I want to overlap this form, right? So I want to overlap this form. So I'll have to make this form also as absolute, right? So I know, I am getting sweat, right? I am sweating because of CSS, right? I am very bad at CSS, to be very honest. I'm not really good at CSS, but I'm trying. Absolute, I did absolute, right? I did absolute. Oh my God, I did absolute. Okay, I think I'll have to make this background image as absolute as well. Absolute, right? I make this background image as absolute, and this form as relative, right? How will it look now? Relative, right? Cool. This looks good, right? But where is our header? Our header has been hidden behind this, right? So I want to get my header on top. I think it is because of Z index, right? It is because of Z index. So I'll have to give it, what is Z index? If you don't, please, right? Please see what is Z index, right? Please Google it. I'll have to put some Z index, and let me give it Z index of maybe 10. Let's see if it comes up. Cool. So my header has come up now, right? Now I want my form to be in the middle, and right, to be in the middle, right? So let me make my form in the middle, right? How do you push that form to the middle, right? Where is my login screen? This is my login page. Now I want my form to have a, what will say, maybe, and let's decrease the width also, right? I don't want the width to be very small, right? Let me give it a width of maybe, uh, width of how much, right? Let's not give it according to a hard coded thing, right? Let's give it a width of half a page, right? How will it look? Let's see. Width of half a page. Does it look good? Nope, not really. Let's give it a width of maybe 3 by 12. Is there something like 3 by 12 in this? Yep, cool. We have 3 by 12. We have 3 by 12, right? So let me save it. Cool. This width looks good, right? This width looks good of our form, right? Now I want my form to be in the middle, right? Now I want my form to be in the middle, right? How do I get my form to be in the middle? What I'll have to do, I'll have to make it, right? I'll have to put some CSS. Let me try it out. I'm really not that great at CSS, right? But let me try that out. Let me give it margin of, first of all, let me give it margin of top of maybe 20, right? Or maybe 24. Let's give it margin and top of 24. Cool. So it gave me margin at top of 24. This is not good. I'll have to, I think, make it absolute. Okay. Cool. Now it looks good. Margin of 24. Let me give it a little more. Margin on the top of maybe 36, right? Margin on top of 36. This looks good. Let me bring it to center. How will I bring it to center? Margin of X of auto and right of 0 and left of 0, right? Left of 0. Let's see. Cool. Right? Our sign in form has come in the center now. Looks good, right? Now, where is my sign in button? Oh, it has hidden in the black background, I guess, right? Let's try to make it like Netflix, right? Netflix has a transparent, okay? The background should be transparent, okay? The background should be transparent and the button should be red in color. And there should be something like new to Netflix, sign up now, right? Let's build this also, right? So let's try to build this. So in our form, let's first of all try to have this, right? Sign in text, and then try to make this text like this and this button like this. How will you do it? First of all, let's get that heading sign in, right? How will I get that heading sign in? I will write a h1 of sign in, right? SIGN sign in, right? And let me make the font a little bold, and let's make this text as white, right? Text as white, or maybe let's make the text of white of everything inside this form, right? Because the text should be white, right? Cool. And over here, let's increase the font of this sign in button, right? Font of maybe Excel, right? Let's see. Sign in. I want to increase the form like this sign in buttons text a little more, right? Maybe give it 3XL. How does it look at 3XL? Yep, this looks better. Now let me give it some padding also over here, right? The form sign in, let me give it padding of maybe right? Let me give it padding of y of 4, right? How does it look? Yep, cool. This looks better. And now I want my email address, password, and sign in button. Yes, the sign in button to be in red, right? Let's make it sign in button be in red. Button to be in red. How will I do that? I will give it background red, right? BG red of let's give it 700 and see how it looks. Yep, cool. This looks good. Let's bring this down and make the width of them properly, right? Let me give this a width of full, right? Width of full. Let me give my width of full And let me give a width of full to my sign in button as well. Right, I am focusing upon CSS also this time, right? See how I am doing. Cool. This looks much better, isn't it? But this alignment is wrong, right? Why this alignment is wrong? Why this alignment is wrong? Because we have given this padding, right? Let's give just padding to the top, not to left and right, right? Let's give padding to the top and not to left and right. Okay, cool. Now all of these are in alignment, right? All of this in our alignment. Why this button is shifted a little there, right? I don't know why this button is shifted a little there. Why this button is shifted a little there? It should be aligned over here, right? I don't know. Fix this button, my dear friends. Please fix this button, right? So, right, cool. Okay, basically I think this is because of margin, right? Oh my god, I am changing padding. I should change margin. Padding should be as it is, right? Sorry. Padding should be as it is. I should change margin. If you are confused with this, right, then go check out CSS tutorials, some CSS tutorials. Some people, ask me, Akshay, will you create Namaste CSS? No, my dear friends. I am very bad at CSS. I'll have to myself learn a CSS a lot then, right? I sweat when I have to do some CSS. Such bad at it, right? So now this looks good, right? Yup. But we have done a good job, isn't it? We have done a good job, right? So now let me make this email. Let us see Netflix form, right? It can have some more padding, right? And we can have this gray, right? We can have this gray on top of this, right? Something like this. Let us try to make this more close to it, right? It should be very close to it, right? So maybe let's give it some more padding to my buttons, right? Let's give it padding of 4 maybe, right? Let's give it padding of 4. And what we will do is we will also give margin of 4 to this form, because that form, everything is sticking a lot, right? Let's give this as 6. And what we will do is, cool. Now this looks much better, isn't it? Now let's make the background of this input box as gray, right? Let's make the background of this input box as gray. How do you make the background of input box gray? Background as gray, right? Gray of maybe, let's give it 500 and see how it looks. Does it look good? Not really. It should be even more darker, I guess, right? So, hit and trial and try to make it as close as Netflix, right? If you wish to, right? Otherwise, we don't want to copy Netflix exactly, right? We are just trying to take inspiration from it. Cool. This looks much better, isn't it? And this looks much better, isn't it? This looks much better. Amazing, right? So let's use this. Let's stick to this, right? Let's stick to this, right? And let us also have rounded corners for our button and form, right? That would looks great, right? For our button, let's make it rounded corners, rounded LG, right? Now you see why I am doing all this is because I want to show you that Tailwind CSS is amazing, my dear friends, right? In very, if you have to do all this, in your normal CSS, it will be a pain in ass, right? It will be a pain in ass, I'm telling you. Now see, the sign in form is looking so cool, isn't it? Right? The sign in form is looking so cool, right? And let's make this background as transparent also. You know how to make the background transparent, right? Let me show it to you. You make the background transparent by background opacity. You have something like background opacity, and you can give it background opacity of 50. Right? And let's see. Oh my god, this 50 is too much, right? We barely see the background now. Let's go to background opacity of 70 and let's see. We can make it 80, I guess, right? We can do it 80. Cool. This looks amazing, isn't it? Our form looks amazing, right? Now we have this email ID and we have this password over here. Right? We have this email ID and we have this password. And now what we can do is we can create this sign in, right? Now let us also see that there is also new to Netflix sign up, right? We have created a sign in form already. This is a sign in form. Let's create a sign up form also, right? So now, right, we have created a sign in form, right? Where is our readme? We have created a login form. Can we create a sign up form now? Right? Sign up form. And how do I create a sign up form? Right? Now I want to show you that how do you create a sign up form. First of all, let me add a text, right? So I can add a text over here. Something like, are you new to Netflix? New to Netflix. Are you new to Netflix? And then sign up now, right? Something like a link. Sign up now, right? And let me see how it looks. Let me give this some class name of padding of y of, maybe let's give it 4 or 6, maybe 4. Let's see. Cool. New to Netflix, sign up now. Right? It says new to Netflix, sign up now. So if I click on this, it should change to sign up form. Right? So my sign up form should come over here if I click on this. So now I have a question for you, my dear friends. Do I create a new form for sign up, or can I use the same form for sign up? What will my sign up form contain? Right? You know, Netflix sign up form is very very different, right? I don't want to go ahead in that path, right? Netflix sign up form is just do email address and get started. No, I don't want to do like this. I want to create a, I want to teach you an important fundamental over here. What I will do it, can I convert the same form to sign up form? This is what I want to show it to you. Can we convert the same form to sign up form? This is a challenge, my dear friend. Can I convert the same form to sign up form? Right? How can I do that? So our sign up form will contain name and again email ID and password, right? So what will my sign up form contain? Name, email ID and password, right? So it will have some more extra fields. So if you will see clearly, our sign in form has email ID and password, right? And our sign up form will have few more extra fields like name and some other fields it can have. For now, can I use the same form for sign in as well as sign up? That is the thing which I wanted to show you. Pause over here is at this moment. Pause this video and think about how would you develop. And then now I will show you how you can build it, right? So pause a moment, take a moment to think about it, and then again continue this video, because now I am going to show you how you can convert the same form to sign up form, right? So first of all, in this page, I would need to know whether this is a sign in form or a sign up form. And according to that, I will change up things, right? This sign in will convert to sign up, right? If I click on this button, this sign in should be converted to sign up form, right? How can I do that? So let's try to build this. So if somebody clicks on this P button, right? If somebody clicks on this P button, right? On click, right? On click. So if I have my on click over here, let me write handle, maybe let's toggle sign in form, right? Toggle sign in form. Okay. So there is a toggle sign in form. Let's create this function, right? Let me create this function over here. If somebody clicks on this function, if this function is called basically, right? If this function is called, right, then what should happen? It should change to a sign up form, right? How will you change this? For this, I will need a state variable, right? I will need to change my state variable. How will I create a state variable? You already know, my dear friends, isn't it? Right? You already know, my dear friends. I will have my use state. I will use a use state in React, right? Use state hook. This will give me access to a variable, right? That variable, let me call it as is sign in, right? I want to know whether it is a sign in form or a sign up form. Is sign in form. Is sign in form. And let us also get to set is sign in form. Is sign in form. Cool. Hope you are following it. Hope you are following this. So if somebody clicks on it, and let me give it a default value as is sign in form. So by default, the form should be sign in or sign up, right? So let's keep it sign in only, right? So is sign in form is true. By default, let's give it true. And if somebody toggles this sign in form, right? So just change it to set is sign in form, and whatever the value is there. So if it is a sign in form, change it to sign up form, right? I am writing not of this. So if it will be true, it will be false. If it will be false, it will be true. So basically it's kind of like a toggle feature, right? So set sign in form, not of is sign in form. Got it? So this is how you write it. Now if you will click it, right? And now according to this variable, this variable will change according to our form, right? So according to this variable, I can change whether my form is sign in form or a sign up form, right? So over here, this sign in, right? Instead of this sign in, I can have my logic, right? How can I have some JSS? I can have my JSX. So if is sign in, right? If is sign in form, if that is a sign in form, then use the text sign in. Otherwise use the text sign up, right? I'll show you what I'm doing, right? Sign up, right? So basically what I will do, I am trying to write if my is sign up form, if is sign in form is true. If this value is true, then show it sign in. If this value is false, then sign up. Got it? So if I go back to my page, it's sign in. If I click on this button, it changes to sign up. See this? Amazing, right? If I click on this again and again, it changes to sign up and sign in. Isn't this amazing? Right? So I have changed the name of this. Let us change everything. Let's change the text of this button also, right? This text of this button should change to this sign in to sign up, right? So I will use the same thing on that button, right? Or let me create a new button for it, right? Or let us use the same thing, right? So the text of this button, I'm not using another button for sign up. I'm just using the same, right? So if I will click on this now, see this, the button text also changes and the heading also changes. See this, if I click on this, right? And I should also change this text also, right? New to Netflix, sign up now, right? So if I am on the sign up form, it should say already a user, sign in now, right? So let's change this text also, right? If you have to change this text, so I can write if the sign in form is true, then show this text, right? Then show this text. Otherwise show a text, maybe something like this: already a member, already a user, already registered, maybe already registered, right? Already already registered, sign up now, right? So now I can change the name of this, right? Cool. So now this is the sign up form and it shows already registered, sign in now. Sorry, not sign up, sign in now. Cool. So now if it is sign up, now if you are already registered, first of all, let me change the cursor to pointer, right? It does not look like I can click this, right? Let me change the cursor to pointer. How do you change the cursor to pointer? You can do a cursor pointer class over here, right? So see this, now it is looking clear. Right now I am on the sign up page and it says sign up and already registered, sign in now. So if I click on this, it changes to sign in form. It changes to sign up form. It changes to sign in form. Amazing, right? But my sign up form should have extra field, right? Let's add some extra field on my sign up form. Let's add some more input box, right? I'm copying and pasting one more input form over here. And this input form takes the name, right? Let's take the name, right? And let's give it type text and name, right? The name of the user, right? While signing up, you can provide your name also, right? So let's take the full name over here. And this input box will only be shown, right, when my sign up form is active. That means when my sign up form. So how do you know if there is a sign up form? It is not a sign in form. If it is not a sign in form, then show my input, otherwise it don't, right? So this is how you write it. If my is sign in form is false, then only this input box will be shown. Understood? Right? So see this. Right now we have a full name. Okay, this full name came over here. It should be above email address. Okay, let's make it the first item in the form. Right? So we have a full name. So I can enter my full name over here. Right? I can enter my full name over here, and I can have my email address over here, and I can have my password over here. Right? And if I click on sign in form, so my sign in form does not have a name now. Cool, right? So we have now built kind of like a sign up form, right? So if I click on this sign up form, it has a full name, right? And if I click on this sign in, it does not have a full name field. It is vanished, right? So I am using the same form for handling sign in as well as sign up. Now, if you wish to, you can add more fields like full name, a phone number, or address, or whatever you wish to in your sign up form. You understood, right? You understood, right? How we can create forms now? You can add as many fields as you wish to, right? You can create as many fields as you wish to. Got it? So we have built our sign in and sign up form now, right? This is our sign in form. This is our sign up form. Looks amazing, isn't it? In this time, let me move it a little down. In this time, we have built this header component and this login component. And in this, we have built this form, right? We have built this form. Cool. So sign in, sign up form, sign in form, sign up form, sign in form, sign up form. Amazing. Now, what we will do is, now we have built this. Now, let us just build an amazing thing, right? Let us just do, when you are building forms and important things come into picture is, how do you do validations inside form, right? Let me give you an important piece of information. It is coming to my head. A lot of times when you build a form, right? When you are writing a form, you always need validation to it. So if you have big form in your projects, if you have a lot of big forms, suppose I used to work in a finance company which is known as Lending Cart, right? So there we used to have a very big loan application, and that form used to have like 50-60 fields. Right? PAN number, Aadhaar number, email ID, phone number, and this and that, then salary and whatnot. So many things, a very big form. So if you have a big form in your React project, then always use a library, something like Formic, right? There is a Formic library. This library is very good if you have to use form inside your React application. It already states that build form in React without tears. Otherwise you will mess up your life, right? If you don't use any library, because when the fields become a lot, right, then managing validation, handling errors, and everything in a very big form becomes very difficult. So if you are using an application which has a very big form, consider using an external library like Formic. Formic is a very good library. I have used it personally. That is why I'm recommending it to you. Otherwise, there are a lot more form libraries which are available for React projects. You can check them out as well. Okay, whatever you wish to. But I would suggest you to use Formic because I like it and it has proven good to me. Right? It has been very good to me. Now, we are not using Formic now, but I want to teach you from scratch, how do you write validations inside form? Okay, I will teach you right now how do you write validations inside your form. Okay, so let's see how do you write validation inside your form. I've created sign up and sign in form, right? So now let us see if my email ID is correct or not, if my password has uppercase, small case letters or not. How do you handle form validations? How do you show error messages? Let us build that. Okay, so till now we have built our sign in, sign up form. And we will build form validations. Got it? So till now we have built this. Let me go back and have a commit, right? Let me commit my code right now. So how to commit my code? I will commit and make a commit message. So how do you make a commit message and what commit message should I add? What I have built? I have built in sign in form, sign in, sign up form, and what else I have built? And we have also built sign in, sign up form, and we have built login page, right? Login page and header, login and some header. Okay, so this is what we have built and I am committing it. So I am using here, you can use command line also to commit. I am using this. If I click on this, it will push my code to GitHub. So I have my VS source, VS code set up with GitHub, right? Set up with Git. So I can use this, right? I just find it cool and easy, right? Otherwise, you can use normal command line, right? Git commit -m and then git commit, git add dot, right? To add files, then git commit and then do proper git way, right? Or else you can use it like this, right? It's very easy. Now I can push my code. I have already pushed it. So that code would have gone to our NetflixGPT. If I refresh my page, right? So now, right, this commit. So I have got my commit, sign in, sign up form. Oh, I have written sing up form. But anyways, there is a mistake. But anyways, there is a typo. So I have pushed the commit to GitHub already, right? So keep pushing your code to GitHub. Build this point. Build till this point. Let us take a break, right? Go ahead, build a header component. Try to make this sign up form, sign in form. Try to make this feature of toggling, right? Why I'm teaching you all this concept? Because, right now we have got this toggle thing inside sign in, sign up form, but you can get this type of toggle thing inside your app anywhere. Suppose if you have to toggle between cards, suppose if you have to toggle between different things, right? So you can build it similarly like how I built using React use state, a state variable, right? So this is what I wanted to show you. Build your app till here and then, right? And then let us just go forward from here building form validations. But let us take a break at this point of time. I want to go and drink some water. You also drink some water, right? You have been watching since a while. And then let us continue our project building journey after this short break. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. We will be back very soon. I'll see you very soon and we will build form validation. So go very fast and come back very soon with your project. Welcome back to Namaste React. And now let us just build new features into our app, right? So far I have built sign in feature, sign up feature, right? Not sign in feature and sign up feature, sorry. Sign in page and sign up page. We will add the functionalities later on. And now we are going to do, we have created forms, right? And most important thing to remember is we have created these forms and both these forms are a single form and we are just toggling it, right? We are just toggling it on the basis of a state variable. Okay, so I showed you that. Now we will actually see how we can add validation, right? Form validation is an important thing. We will see how we can validate this form and show some error messages onto our app. Okay, so let's go back to our code. So here is our code, right? So let's go back to our code. And one more important thing we will learn from this is, right? While we are building this form thing, we will learn something known as use ref. We will be building use ref. So if you'll go to React documentation and go to use ref hook, right? We will be using a use ref hook now, right? A lot of you were saying that Akshay, teach us more hooks. You have not covered a lot of hooks, but let me tell you, I am going to cover use ref hook right now. Right? And there are few more hooks which I covered in my live class. I will provide the recording of that. Right? I will, when I was teaching my live class, I covered few hooks, right? I will get that recording out and I will give it to you, right? So that you can watch that, so that your hooks are also covered, right? I don't want any student to feel that I am not teaching you enough, right? I want to teach you hooks. Right? There are so many hooks. Now I can't teach you like all the hooks. See, there are how many hooks are there? Right? So many hooks, right? I just, most of the hooks are not required, right? Are not much used. If you are interested, you can go and see that. But I want to cover most important hooks, right? So use ref is the hook which I want to cover now, right? So use ref hook in React lets you reference a value that is not needed for rendering. Right? Basically, it lets you reference a value, right? So when we will implement this hook, you would understand, right? What am I talking about? Okay, cool. So now let's try to build form validations, right? First of all, how to build form validations, right? So when should we validate the form? So let's go to sign in form first of all, right? If I go to my sign in form, when I click on my sign in button, right? When I click on this sign in button, it should validate the form, right? It should validate the form, and if there is an error message, it should show some error message. Okay, this is the first thing we want to develop. Okay, so let me first of all go to my readme file and write down what we are going to do. So far we have done create React app, configure tailwind, header, login form, sign up form. Oh, we also covered routing, right? We haven't written routing over here. Routing of app, right? We have covered routing also, right? And sign up form. And what we'll do now is we will do form validation, right? So we will do form validation. Okay, and along with form validation, we will also see what is useRef hook, right? What is useRef hook? Okay, both of the things we will see now. I want to cover all these things. These things I haven't even covered in my course, right? But I want to cover this through this project. Okay, so this was our readme file. Let's go back to our login screen. If we click on this button, right? If we click on this sign in sign up button, right? If there is sign in button and a sign up button, right? If I click on any of this button, what should happen, right? What should happen if I click on this, right? So let me go back and write a on click on this button. On click, right? So on click and then handle button click. I am just writing a function, handle button click, handle button click, and I will write this function on the top, right? So this is the function. Let me write it on the top, right? Just like we had this toggle sign in form, let's create one more function. Let's call it as handle button click, right? So now we have this. When the button will be clicked, here we can handle the click of a button. Now here, according to whether it is a sign in button or a sign up form, we can just log in the user or we can sign up the user, right? This is what we need to do. But first thing that we will do is, first of all, we will validate the form data. Okay, we will validate the form data. So let us write the form data validation, how we can do that. For that, I will use a utility, right? Right? So let us create a utility inside utils, right? Inside utils, and let's call it as validate.js, right? So I will write my validation logic inside my utils, right? So I will put all the validation logic. You can put it inside this component also, but that would give me the whole big code for it, right? So I don't want to do that. I want to create a separate file and a separate function that validates for us, right? And if the validation fails, gives us the error message. Okay, gives us the error message. So check valid data, right? Let's create a function, check valid data, right? And this is a function, and now this function will check for, if we pass email and password to this function, it should check for validation, right? It will validate, and let me export it, right? I have exported this constant check validate data, and now if my email or password does not, right, is not correct, is not validated, then send me an error message. Okay, let us see how we can do that. For email validation, let us use a regex, right? Do you know regex? I'll show you how to test through regex, right? First of all, let me find regex for email validation. Okay, I'm just finding a, right? I'm not a regex expertise, so I don't have an expertise of writing regex. I'm just finding it on the internet, right? So building a regular expression for email validation, I think this is it, right? So if you want to see, just go to this website and see the beginning of beginning should be string, and then it should have a at the rate, matches the symbol at the rate. It should have numbers and all that stuff, right? They have written a regex. I'm directly using it. So what this regex is doing, just read it here, right? So how will I test from regex, right? So first of all, I will check, is email valid, right? Is email valid? So what I will do, I will test this regex, right? I will have this regex. So you can do, write the regex, write dot test. So there is a test function over regex. And when you will write this, so dot test, and what do I test? I want to test my email, right? I want to test my email, right? So if this is valid, if this regex will pass, it will return true inside it, or it will return false inside it. Got it? It will return true inside it, or it will return false inside it. Similarly, let me also have constant is password valid, and is password valid regex. Let's see, valid password validation. Okay, password validation regex. Does this work? So this is my regex. So let me copy this regex, right? Let me copy this regex. So I want to use this regex. Okay, I want to use this regex for password validation. Okay, I don't know if it will work or not. Let us see, right? So I have my regex, and now I want to test basically my password here, right? I want to test my password, right? So basically this is checking for small letters A to Z, capital letters A to Z, and I think some numbers. It should be 8 characters, right? So something like this. Cool. So now if my, right, now I'll see if my is email valid is not valid, right? Not valid. If my is email address is not valid, then return an error message, email ID is not valid. Okay, and then similarly I will write, if my password is not valid, it should give me password not valid. This function will return me the error message. And if email is valid and password is valid, then return me null, right? Null means, right, if I get null, that means no errors, right? And if I have some string inside it, that means an error message. Either email is not valid or password is not valid. Okay, so this is our validate function. Now what we will do is, I'll go to my login page. Now here I will use this data, right? Now here I want to use this data. I will use that validate function, right? Now first of all, I want to tell you that how will I get that? I will have to, I will use that data, right? Where is that data? Where is that function? Validate function, check valid, right? What is the name of that function? CHECK, check valid data, right? Check valid data, right? Why it is not showing? Let me just import it, right? Import from /utils /utils/validation validate. Nahi. What is it? Validate.js. Validate.js, right? Validate, and from that I want to import my check valid data. Got it? So this check valid data, okay, there is a spelling mistake, check valid A laga diya maine, right? It should be check valid data. Be sure with your typo mistakes, because otherwise it will give you error. Yep, cool. We have this check valid data now. So I want to call this check valid data, but I want to call with email and password, right? How will I get my email and password over here, right? So the user is typing something, right? Okay, there is some issue. Login.js 10.5, something like that, right? Let me see, right? Cool. I think it is because of this. Cool. Let me save it. Yep. So if I write some email over here, right? Suppose if I write akshay001 @gmail.com, right? right? And if I write password as maybe, let's say Akshay at the rate 123, right? Akshay at the rate 123. How will I get this data when I click on this? Right? So what do you think? I want to ask you, how will I get this data? How will I get this data? So you must be thinking, Akshay, you can use a state variable. You can bind that variable along with that input box. As soon as I am typing on the input box, that variable data will change. I can have a state variable. That is one way you can do that. Either you can create state variables for email, password, name, or you can create state variables. Instead of that state variables, you can use the reference of those input boxes, right? There are two ways. Either you can use state variables, or you can use reference. So here is where use ref comes into picture. Suppose if you want to reference, if you want to find out what is there inside input box, see, when I will click on this button, I want to find out what is there inside my input box. How will I find out? I need a reference to this input box. And that reference is created by React, right? Using useRef hook. Now listen to me very carefully. How do I use my useRef hook? Okay, I'll do something like this. Constant email is equals to useRef, right? I can use constant email is equals to useRef. So this is how you write your useRef hook. Got it? So what it will do is, it will email as useRef hook. Now this useRef hooks come from React itself, right? React library. This is the useRef hook, and we give it initial value. So let's give it initial value as null. Got it? The initial value is null over here. Okay. Now what I will do is, I will create a fun for password and I will give it null. Okay. Now what I will do, now I will reference my email and password. These are basically the reference, right? It will create a reference, right? Now I want to refer it to my input boxes. So what I will do, I will do a ref over here and I will add my email here, right? Remember, I created a useRef, I created a variable email, and now this email is a reference. This email is a reference to this input box. Got it? So this is how you do it. I will create a ref and that ref will be password, right? So now this will help us. PASSWRD. This will help us get the reference to this input box. Now what will happen? I have created these two useRef variables. Now suppose if somebody clicks on this handle button, I want to get the data what is there in my email and what is there in my password. So what I will do is, let me console log. So if you will console log, let us see what is there inside my email and what is there inside my password. Okay, I'll show it to you. Okay, so what is there inside my email? What is there inside my password? Let me save it, go back. Let me click on it. Let us see what gets printed over here, right? Let us see what gets printed on the console. So if I write, maybe let me write this, right? I have some data already, akshay007@gmail.com, and let me have a password of akshay@123. Okay, and if I click on this sign in button, okay. It is refreshing the page. Why? Can somebody tell me, when I click on the sign in button, it refreshes the page? Why? Because when you click on this button, it is trying to submit the form. So we have to do something known as e.prevent default. Okay. Remember, we used to do in our normal, this is not a React problem. This is a normal web issue, right? So in your form, right, some people would not have understood, right? So basically what happens is, this is a form, right? Everything is inside a form. If you have a button inside a form and if you click on that button, it basically calls the on submit method of the function, right? It is basically calling the on submit method. So we don't have a submit method. That is why it is refreshing the page. Okay. So what I will do now is, I will basically do a you want to handle this, do something like this. E.prevent default, right? If you will do E.prevent default, this will prevent that to happen. So basically, when you are clicking the sign in button, it is trying to submit the form. So I want to stop it to submit it, right? I don't want to submit the form. Okay. I don't want to submit the form right away. Cool. So if I click on this button, so let us just see. So see this, there are two things printed on the console, right? The first is the email and the second is the password input box. But you must be thinking, Akshay, what are these objects? So basically it gives you the reference of that input box as a form of an object. So it will have a current and it will have a value. This value is empty right now, right? Let me write something and let us see now, right? Let me write something over here. Let me write akshay@gmail.com, right? And let me write the password as akshay123, right? If I click on this sign in button, it will have this, right? It printed to, if I go to my current and if I go to the value, right? So this value gives me the value of that input box. Did you understand that? So basically, let me explain you. This is what useref is. So useref, this is what useref variable is doing. So you have this useref, you have this email over here, right? If I have this email and if I do a email, if I print this email, so the email.current.value is this akshay@gmail, right? So basically email.current, let me just print email.current.value, right? Current.value. It will give me the value of, so basically email.current is referring to my input box and dot value is giving me the value to my input box, value of my input box. Got it? So if you'll do a email.current.value, it is giving me this. And if I do a password.current.value, current.value, now it will give me password. So if I refresh the page, right? If I refresh the page, let me click on this button once again. See this. So I have got my email, I have got my password, right? So I have got my email, I have got my password. Now, once I know that this is how I will get my email and password, this is what useref is. Hope you would have understood useref is. Now let us just validate this data, right? So now I will validate my data, right? Now I will use my check validate function, right? Now I will use my check validate function. Let me go over here and if I check validate and inside my check validate, I will pass this email value, right? And this password. Got it? I will pass this email value and this password, right? And let me go back and let me just see what it returns, right? Let me just see what it returns and let me just have my message, right? It will give me the error message, right? It will return me the error message and let me log this message. Console.log message, right? Let me log whatever is returned over here, right? Let me go back. Let me close this. Let me click on this button. If I click on this button, it says password is not valid, right? It is saying password is not valid. So our password failed kind of, right? Our password kind of failed. Oh my God. That means it's working. That means my email is working. Let us try to fail my email also, right? Let me see if my email fails. If I give it like this only, right? If I give it like this, click on sign in. It says email is not valid. See this. It says email ID is not valid. That means my email was valid, right? Email was valid, akshay@gmail.com. This was valid, but my password is not valid. What is the issue with the password? I think it expects a special character also, right? If I give some special character inside it, let me write akshay@123, right? Click. Password is not valid. Still it is not valid. Why? Should it have a capital letter? Should it have a capital letter? Let me make the first letter as capital, akshay@12345. Cool. So I have akshay@12344 and this gives me null. So you understood, right? So basically it will give you email not valid, password is not valid according to how your email ID and password is. Got it? So if I will have wrong email ID, if I click on sign in, it gives me email is not valid. Now let us try to show this error over here somewhere, right? Let us try to show this error just before our sign in page, right? So let's go back and create a field over here, right? Let's show a error message on before this button, right? Let's show this error message before our button, right? Let me create a p tag and let's give it, okay, I will show my error message over here, error message, right? This is my error message. Okay, I will create a state variable later on, right? Or let me create it, right? So to have the error messages, I will create a state variable. Okay, let's create a state variable to store that error message, and I will use my use state, right? I will use my use state. Now you must be thinking when to use use state, when to use useref. Useref is used to reference a field over here, basically a tag over here. Suppose you have an input tag, you have a button, so this gives you the reference to it, right? Here we want to store some error message, so we are creating a use state variable, right? So we have a use state variable. Initially let us give the value as null, right? And this is my error message, right? And let me give it set error message also. Set error message. Set ERROR error MESSAGE. Set error message, right? And let me show my error message over here, right? Where is my p tag? So above my button there is a p tag. Here I will show my error message, and let me give it some class name equal to, maybe let's make it text red, right? Because we should show error messages in red color, right? And let's give it text red 500 or something. I don't know. Let's see how it looks. So text red 500. That's all. Let us see if we see the error message there. Okay, first of all I need to set that error message also, right? So how do you set that error message? Whenever I will get this error message, right? So what we will do is, I will just set my error message, right? Set my error message with whatever is returned from here, right? So I will set my error message. Okay, I will set my error message here, right? This message, whatever is returned from check valid data. Got it? So this is how I will do it, and let me save it. Now let us go back and let me just write an error. Let me write and see if error is working fine or not. Suppose if I write an invalid email ID, right? And let me write an Akshay. Click on sign in. See this. It says email ID is not valid. Did you see this? Email ID is not valid. Let's improve it more. Let's make it a little font bold and maybe give it some padding also, right? I think so. So let's give it some padding. I just feel that the error message should be a little more bold, right? So font bold, and then maybe let's make it a little large also. Text LG, and then let's give it some padding on the top and bottom axis. Let's give it padding of 2. Okay, let's see. Cool. Now it is looking better, right? Email ID is not valid. Cool. So suppose if I make my email ID valid, akshay@gmail.com, right? I'm writing random email ID, akshay@gmail.com. If I click on this, see, it says password not valid. Now my email is valid, but my password is not valid now, right? Let's make our password also valid. Let's keep it akshay@12345, right? Click on there. Okay, password again not valid. I think capital letter. Let's make it one capital letter. Cool. Now my error is gone. Did you see this? My password is capital Akshay@12345 and my email ID is correct. Now my error is gone. Isn't it amazing? It is amazing, right? Isn't it amazing? It's amazing, right? If you have error in your, this is what is form validation, my dear friends. And once I have validated the form, then I can proceed, right? Then I can proceed. If this is valid, then I can proceed and do a sign in, sign up, whatever I wish to over here, right? Then I can proceed and I can do a sign in, sign up, whatever I wish to. Did you understand that? Amazing, right? Let me get rid of this console log also. Now my form is validated. So, that is why created a separate check validate function in a separate file. Now my validation is just one line over here, right? In one line, I have validated my email ID and password. And this is how you can handle your email ID, password validation, form validation, how much ever field you have. Okay, so suppose it was a sign up form, right? Suppose this was a sign up form. You can put in validation for your name also, right? Suppose if it was a sign up form. So in the sign up form also that validation should work, right? If I click on this, let me get rid of, see, if my email ID is invalid, see this. In my sign up form also my email ID and password validation is working fine. So similarly, you can add name validation as well, right? You can add name validation as well. Can you do that? It is very simple, right? You have to add some more condition into your check validate method, right? For name and pass in name over there. How would you reference name here? Right? How would you reference name? For name, you will have to create another one, right? How will you reference name over here? You will have to create another use ref, right? Let's give it null here, right? And this name should be referencing my input, right? Where is my name input? Email. Here is my name, right? So you can have a ref of name, right? And similarly, over here, you can pass in name.current.value and you can do validations on name also. Did you do that? So please do that as your take that down as a homework, right? Take that down as a homework and let me save my password here. Yes. Take that down up as a homework and do this, right? So if you have a sign up form, if you have a sign in form, I have handled the validation of form. This is how you do form validation inside React, right? You can do that. You can show the error message. Hope you would have enjoyed it, right? So I have done, we have set the error message also. Now let us just start building up a lot, right? Now let us just build authentication. Are you ready to build the authentication? Right? Amazing. Now comes the exciting part. We have built it here, right? We have built a cool login page. Let me close this up. We have built a cool login page. And now when we have built a cool login page, now I can write my email ID and password over here, isn't it? It's amazing, right? And I can write my email ID password. And when I click on sign in, it should sign in, right? If I click on sign up, it should sign up, right? So we will build this functionality now. Okay, are you ready? Let's take a quick short break, do form validations, do till here in your project, and then we will come back and we will start with building the authentication. So come back very soon. I'll see you very soon. Let's take a short break. Welcome back, my dear friends. We have done form validation till now, and let us now move on to building authentication. And for building authentication, we need a backend. And for backend, I would be using Google Firebase. Okay, I would be using Google Firebase. The website is firebase.google.com. Okay, this is the website firebase.google.com, and I would be using Firebase for building the authentication. It makes our life easy, right? Either you can build it yourself, right, in Node.js or some other backend library, or else you can use Firebase also. And let me tell you, my dear friends, Firebase is not a jugaad, right? It's not a very jugaad kind of thing. Firebase, a lot of startups use Firebase as backend. A lot of startups use Firebase as backend. So it's you can build a project using Firebase itself and you can take it up to production. Firebase will handle a lot of things for you. I am picking up Firebase because it's easy, right? You will see that it makes our life easy. And I also wanted to show you how you can build a fully fledged application which can have a backend, which can authenticate, right? Which can have a user login. And once you log in, then only you can enter inside the Netflix portal. Got it? So we are going to build this. So when you go to Firebase, right, you click on get started and let us create a project inside Firebase, right? So I have few test demo apps. So ignore them. You have to create add project, right? Do over here, go over there and create a app project. And then you can name it as NetflixGPT. I am naming it as NetflixGPT because that is what the name of my app is. Got it? So you can have Netflix GPT. What is this? You can have a project ID. Okay, you can I alter this? Don't alter this, yaar. Like, I mean, keep it like this only. Save. Right? Continue. Click on continue. Now it says that, do you want Google Analytics for your project? It's good to have a Google Analytics, right? Do it, but I'm just creating a test project, so I don't need it actually, right? I'm not taking it to production or something. I can take it to production also, right? What's there? Let me enable it, right? What's there? It will now, okay, it asked me to default account for Firebase, okay? So this is default account for Firebase. So cool. Create a project, right? Now it is creating my project, right? Now it will take some time to create the project. Meanwhile, let me tell you that we are going to use Firebase for authenticating, and you will see cool things, right? You can build a, have you seen that kind of a feature where you can click this button and it sign-ins with Google? We can build that too. We can build a email and password email and password login also. So right now, let us build a email and password login, right? Netflix has an email and password login, right? So similarly, our app has a sign-in button or sign-up button. So let's create an email password login, right? With Netflix. And okay, so we are done with this. So we have this Netflix GPT over here. Now, what you have to do is, now you will get to this, by the time you are watching this video, Firebase keeps changing their website. Okay, Firebase keeps changing their website. So by the time you are watching this video, maybe after a year or after few months, right, this would not look the same. But let me tell you, if you don't find the option, you have to go and search for somewhere where you have to create a web project. Okay, so basically get started by adding your Firebase app and go to web. Don't go to iOS or Android. Okay, go to web, because we are building a web project. I'll click on this button. Right, so it will register an app for me, right? Let's have a nickname for my app. Let's call this as NetflixGPT again, right? I'll let me call it as NetflixGPT again. And it says that also set up Firebase hosting for this app. Now this is very important. This is very important, my dear friends. So this will basically set up. So if you have a front end application or a backend application, whatever application, right? We are creating a web app over here, right? Web app. So if you want to deploy your website to Firebase, Firebase gives you an option. You can deploy your app to Firebase itself, right? It gives you, say, server. It gives you hosting. So if you want to host your application to Firebase, you can use this. If you don't want to host your application on Firebase, you want to host it on your server, or you want to host it on Vercel, or if you want to host it on Netlify or Heroku or AWS, wherever you want to host it. So don't do this. But let me show it to you for people who want to host their website on Firebase, right? A lot of people, we just keep our app on local. But today I will also show you how you can host your app on Firebase, and you can give a live URL, right? We can have a live URL for our app. Will it not be amazing? It will be amazing, right? So it will be amazing, my dear friends. So you can have this Netflix GPT also set up Firebase hosting, right? So you can set up Firebase hosting from here itself, right? Now I am registering my app. So let us register our app. Then it will give me Firebase SDK, which we can put it up in our project. Right? So we are using npm, right? We are using npm. So let us install like this, right? npm install Firebase. Okay. So do in your project, it will give you step-by-step process, right? It is very easy. First of all, let us install this package Firebase, right? Let us install this in our project, right? Let me close this up. npm install Firebase, right? So I am installing Firebase into my app. Got it? So let me install Firebase in our app. It will take some time. Meanwhile, let me show you, and it will also give us some configuration. See that? It gives me an API key. It gives me authentication. See this? It gives me project ID. It gives me storage bucket. It gives me all this information, right? This config, we will need it, right? We will need this config to connect to our database. Got it? We will need this config to connect with our Firebase application. Cool. So, okay. So this is done. So let us create a config, right? Let us create this config. right? Let us create this config in our app, right? So generally over here, I'll do a firebase.js, right? Firebase.js. So, I am creating a firebase.js and I have copy pasted this whole thing, right? Otherwise, you can create your own Firebase config. You can copy this. I am using this firebase.config. It will give me some config. So basically it is giving me all this API key into my app, right? Which will be used to access, it will be used to access our, it will be used to access our Firebase from our React project. Got it? So we did this. Now, if you will go over here, it gives you, right? Go to API reference. So you can go over here. You can read. This is the Firebase documentation, right? Let me get rid of this. This is the Firebase documentation. Okay. You can go. Okay. I have closed this, I guess. Okay. Cool. Here is my Firebase console. Let me go to NetflixGPT once again. Right. Let me go to NetflixGPT. I was configuring, right? Cool. So this is how it is, right? So cool. So this was the app, right? So basically, what I was trying to say is, I was in middle of creating this, right? But anyways, I think we have already created it, right? Don't you worry about it, right? So this is we have set up. Now what we will do. Now I have got my Firebase config. Now we will try to create a new user. Now you will have to do one more setting, right? You have to enable authentication inside your Firebase app, right? So now when you have your Netflix GPT app, go to project overview, right? Over here, you have to enable authentication, right? So search for authentication over here, right? Somewhere it would be, right? Here is this authentication. Why it is not loading? Let me refresh the page once again. So it gives me authentication here, right? So this is authentication. You can click over here, or you can even go over here and click on authentication. See, you have to go to authentication page. See why I'm telling you all this, because Firebase keep changing their website. Okay. So you will have to, next step is to find out where is authentication. So click on this authentication, right? So now if you will go click on this authentication, click on get started. Right? You have to get started with your authentication. So when you will click on get started, it will give you sign in method, right? In authentication, it will give you sign in method, and you can add multiple types of sign in option. Suppose if you want an email ID password, right? So this is email ID password, right? So enable it, right? I want users to register using email ID password, right? So enable this, right? And I am clicking on save. So this will enable my email ID password. Got it? And similarly, you can add new providers also, right? You can add Google login, you can add Microsoft login, you can add Facebook login, you can add Yahoo login, you can add GitHub login also, right? If you want to, in your app to build GitHub login, you can build like this. Got it? So this is what it is, right? And now this is my email ID password enabled, right? You have to enable this. Once you have enabled this, now I can register my users also, right? And whatever users will be registered on your app will come over here. Right now we don't have no users. Suppose if I sign up on our app, it will come over here. We will soon see that, right? So this is all the configuration that you need to do for Firebase. Okay, this was all the configuration that you need to do for Firebase. Now we have enabled the email password authentication. We have done our configuration. Right? Now I will show you how you can deploy our app, right? So let me show you how you can deploy our app. Now we are here. So we have this app, right? This app is running on localhost 3000, right? Okay. I have stopped the app now, but this app was running on localhost 3000. Now let me show you how you can actually deploy your application, right? How you can deploy your application to Firebase, right? Let us get that. Whatever we have built till now, let us just deploy it to Firebase. Okay. Now I'll show you. So we have done npm install Firebase already. You can do a Firebase login, right? Use this command Firebase login, right? If you do Firebase login over here, it says already logged in at akshaysaini.in. So I have already logged in, right? Because I keep logging in. But once you do that, please log in. It will take you to Firebase and you'll have to log in, right? Please log in like this if you are not already logged in. Once you are logged in into Firebase, now you will have to write down another command which is known as Firebase init, right? Firebase init. It is basically like initializing Firebase, right? It is basically initializing Firebase, right? It will create a Firebase config for us, right? Over here, we don't have a Firebase config. It will create a Firebase config for us and hit enter, right? Now it will give you a lot of option and you'll have to be careful while you do this, right? So when you have to, you can do a lot of things over here, right? You can create databases. Firebase gives you a lot of options to use, right? But we want to host our application right now. So you'll have to be careful. Go to this hosting. There are two hosting. Set up GitHub Actions deploy, right? You can also set up GitHub Actions deploy. That means as soon as you push your code to GitHub, it will make live, right? I'm not doing that. You can configure it yourself. Read it down, right? Take it up as a homework if you wish to do it. What I am doing is I want to keep the control of deployment to me. Most of the time we do it like this. See, there are two types of hosting, right? Some people would be confused by this. Let me explain you a little more. What I am telling is you can deploy your application to Firebase. Either you can, there is a command Firebase deploy. Either you can run that command and deploy whenever you want to, or you can do it from local also. Or one more thing you can do it, you can set up GitHub action. As soon as the code is pushed to GitHub on the main branch, it will automatically deploy. You can do both of the things, right? For now, I will show you how you can deploy your app from your local, right? So let me show it to you. For that, go to this hosting, the first one, which says configure files for Firebase hosting and optionally set up GitHub action deploy. Okay, so I have to configure files for Firebase hosting, right? I want to configure files for Firebase hosting. I want to give here. Now to select this option, press the space bar. I am pressing the space bar. It will select this option and I will hit an enter. Got it? Now it says that do you want to use an existing project or do you want to create a new project, right? So I want to use an existing project on Firebase, right? I have an Firebase project already and that project name is, these are the projects which are there on your Firebase, right? So I have 3 projects there. I want to use this, right? I want to use this NetflixGPT. Okay, go to NetflixGPT, hit enter, right? Now it will ask you few options. Be very careful. It will ask you few options. Be very careful. What do you want to use your public directory as? This public directory will be build, right? Build folder, right? Because build folder is the place. Remember, we had a dist folder where when we were using Parcel, we had a dist folder where when we used to build our project, all the bundled file, all the production ready files used to go to that folder. Similarly, in Create React App, we have a build folder. Okay, we have a build folder. So please name it as build if you are using Create React App. Hit enter. Configure a single app, rewrite all URLs to index.html. No. Do no. Set up automatic builds and deploy with GitHub. No, I don't want to do this. And it created my Firebase, right? It created my Firebase config. Got it? So now it has given me firebase.json and it has created few configuration for us, right? It has created few configuration for us here in firebase.json, right? It created firebase.rc file also, right? Firebase.rc, firebase.json. We are done with this thing here, right? Now, suppose if I want to deploy my project, before deploying my project, let me build my project, right? If I do my npm build, npm run build, right? So where is this build command? How do I check what is there in my build command? So I'll have to go to package.json. See, we already have a build command. Create React App already gives us a build command, right? That build command will run some scripts behind the scenes. So if I run npm run build, so it will build the project. It is creating the optimized production build for our application, right? And it created it. Got it? It created it. The build is ready. And you will see there will be a build folder over here. We have a build folder with us, right? And basically when we were writing build over there, that means we were telling Firebase that you have to deploy using this build folder, right? And if you'll see this index.html, this will have the code of our React app. This will have the code of our React app. Got it? So this is our build folder, right? So you'll have to deploy this. Now let us just try to deploy this, right? How will you deploy this? You will write a command firebase deploy. Okay, you will use the command firebase deploy. Okay, so now it will take some time. It is uploading the new files. It is trying to deploying the things on, just 3 commands and we have deployed our app, my dear friends. We have deployed our app on Firebase. Do you know that? How amazing this is. How amazing this is. I can just, and see, this is the hosting URL. If you click on that, open. So this will open, right? I don't know why it did not open. Let me copy this URL. Let me go over here to this URL, right? And I hit enter, right? As soon as I hit enter, do you see this? This is what the application that we made, isn't it? And this is live, my dear friends. This is not a local or something. This is our live running application. Do you understand that? Do you understand that this is the live running application? How amazing this is. How amazing this is. Isn't it amazing? It is amazing, right? So this is what amazing our app is, right? And what you have to do is, now let us see, right? This is what we built, right? This is our login page. If I click on sign up, see this sign up form. This is sign in form. We deployed our app. If you'll open this in incognito, I'm not kidding, friends, right? A lot of students keep their projects, a lot of students keep their project inside their local only. How much time did it take to deploy? It just take 3 commands. What were these 3 commands? Firebase login, Firebase init, Firebase deploy. 3 commands. And our React app is on production, right? So this is our application and we can deploy it like this. And if we'll see our validations work over here, let's see let's give Akshay and Akshay, right? Sign up, right? Email ID is not valid. See this. Our validations work properly. Let's see this. gmail.com, right? If I click on this, it says password is not valid, right? I can add some extra letters to it. @1234. Click on it. See this. It is gone. So our whole app is working fine on our, right? On our new URL, right? This is our hosting URL. So always you will have to do this, right? You will have to deploy your app to production and you will have to maintain your GitHub repository. I want all the Namaste React students to have their code on GitHub, to have their URL deployed and share this on social media. Tell the world that you have built such products. When you will share this, people will be attracted to you. You will get a lot more opportunities. When you're building a resume, you have to give this URL in your resume. How cool would it be when an interviewer is looking at your resume, you clicks on it and it sees, oh my God, we have a Netflix? Amazing. This looks amazing, right? So this is what I wanted to show you, that you can build all this. Okay. Why not? Why not build this? Why not take your app to production? This is how you have to do this, my dear friends. Got it? It was that simple. So we will deploy our app later on, right? Once we have built it full. For now, let's go back and run our project on localhost 3000 itself, right? On localhost. npm start. So our app is now running on localhost 3000. Cool. So we have seen how to deploy our app on Firebase, how to register your app on Firebase. Where is my README file? Let's go to my README file. We have seen useref hook. We have seen form validations already. We have seen authentication, right? Not authentication, Firebase setup, right? Firebase setup. And we have seen deploying our app to production. Deploying our app to production, right? And it gives you, see this. And in Firebase, the URL was not proper, right? So when you are deploying, right, you can set up your own URL also. Now you must be thinking, Akshay, the URL is some random URL. Inside Firebase, you can change this URL to your domain name also. Maybe akshayseni.in/Netflix or netflix.akshayseni.in. You can do that also, right? You can map your domain name with this domain name. or if you that will need you to purchase a domain name, right? If you don't want to purchase a domain name, then you can use this. If you can purchase a domain name, you can set up that domain name here also, right? You can set up that domain name from here also, right? Click on this, in the build, go to hosting, right? In the build, go to hosting, and here you will see this is our web app, right? See this. This is our web app. You can add your own custom domain name, right? Enter the domain name. Suppose if you purchase your domain name for GoDaddy from HostGator or some other domain purchasing websites, you can purchase it and verify the ownership, follow these steps, and you will be able to do it, right? So I wanted to tell you that nobody is stopping you. You have all the enough knowledge to deploy your app to production, my dear friends. Got it? Cool. So we have deployed our app to production, right? We have done Firebase setup, and now the next thing is we will start logging in, right? We will start logging in the users, right? Let us try to build the authentication. Let us sign up our first user. Are you ready? Let us sign up our first user. Okay, let us sign up our first user on our NetflixGPT. Got it? So let's create authentication now. Create sign up in Firebase, right? Sign up user account, right? Let's create a sign up user account. Okay, how do you create a user account? Amazing, right? So now I know how to create a user, but I want to tell you that you should be able to read Firebase documentation, because it will help you in long run. If you are using Firebase, you should know how to read Firebase documentation, and I will keep referring to Firebase documentation and will show you that how do you find what to do, right? Suppose I want to teach to absolute beginners, right? Suppose if you have never worked on Firebase, how would you find out how can I log in? How can I sign up a user, right? So go to Firebase documentation, right? Go to Firebase documentation, Firebase docs, right? If you'll go to Firebase documentation, right? Over there, you can search for it, right? You can search for user authentication, right? Search for it, right? Firebase authentication, right? Authenticate using Apple phone authentication, right? And you can do that, right? Let us go to Firebase authentication. If I go to Firebase authentication and I can go to web, right? I can go to web over here. See why I'm telling you how to find it, because Firebase website keep changing. This document also keep changing, right? So this URL might not work. So, but if it does not work after an year or so, don't panic. Just Google it. How do you authenticate using Firebase, right? And go to web and go to password authentication, right? Or go to manage users, right? Go to manage users. It will show you all these APIs, right? It will give you boilerplate code also. Okay. So I want to show you this documentation as much as I can, because I want you to be very good at reading documentation. Reading documentation is a superpower of a developer. Repeat with me once again. Reading documentation is a superpower of a developer. Okay. It's a very big superpower. Print this down in a paper and post it right in front of your desk, right? Paste it in front of your desk. Read it every day. Reading documentation is a superpower of a developer. Got it? So you'll have to be very good at reading documentation. Don't be afraid of documentations. And I will keep referring to this documentation so that you are used to it. Got it? So I can do that, right? So it gives you all these. How do you manage the users? Suppose if I want to do password authentication, right? We want to do password authentication. It will tell me, see this, create a password based account, sign in a user with email ID and password, right? It will sign in a user with email ID and password, right? But before signing in, I want to sign up, right? I want to sign up that user. So see this. So create a password based account. So I will create this password based account. You have to go over here, right? You have to go over here, password based account. And there is an API which is known as create user with email password. Very easy API, right? Create user with email password, right? And I want to use this create user with email password API to create a user with email password on Firebase. Amazing, right? So let us see how we can do this in our code. But first of all, let me tell you that one more piece of information I wanted to give you is that Firebase docs keep changing, okay? Earlier, there used to be something known as Firebase Web Namespace API, right? So there are two tabs, right? So earlier, this was Firebase namespace API. Earlier, everybody used to use this namespace API, but now modular API is the one which you should use. Okay, so always use web modular API. Right now we are in August 2023. The latest of Firebase is to use these modular APIs. I am teaching you everything latest, everything latest. Okay, my dear friends. So always use this modular API. I'll teach you how to use these modular APIs. Got it? I don't want to teach you anything outdated. I want to teach you the latest Firebase modular APIs. Cool. So this is how you create an email and password. How will I do that and where will I do that? Okay. So first of all, where should I create, right? Where should I create my email ID password? Here, right? Handle button click, right? If I click on that button, first of all, check if it is valid, right? If it is not valid, right? Check if it is valid, right? And if there is a message, right? If there is a message, right? Basically, suppose if my data is valid, then this message will be null, right? Right? If my message is null, if my message is equal to null, right? Then only create a new user, right? That means we have to sign up or sign in, right? We have to sign in or sign up, right? So I have to do sign in, sign up over here. I have to sign in, sign up. If my message is not null, if my message is null, sorry. So basically, if my validation returns null, that means my email ID password is valid. That means I can create a new user. Easy, right? Got it? Did you understand why I've kept this situation? Right? And whatever I do inside it, I will write my sign in, sign up logic inside it. Right? Or else what I can do is I can, it will just increase my code horizontally. I can write it in a different way also. If my message is not null, right? If my message is not null, that means I have some error, right? If my message is, रुको एक minute. So it is tough to explain you, but let me explain it to you. What I am trying to say, if I have a message, if I have some message inside it, right? If my message is a string, that means if my email ID is not valid or my password is not valid, right? If my email ID is not valid, if my password is not valid, what should I do? If my email ID's password is not valid, if my message is present, then just return. Don't go ahead. So why did I do return? Right? I don't want program to go ahead of this. Right? Return from this statement itself. Otherwise, sign in and sign up the user. Sign in or sign up. Right? Now here I will write my sign in, sign up logic. Got it? So either you can do, if my message is there, then return from here. Or the second thing you can do is, if my message is null, then you can write the sign up and sign in logic inside it. Right? You can do both of the things. You can either do this or you can do the other way. Right? You can either do this, right? If my message is not null, then sign in or sign up. Or else you can do this. If my message is there, I want to return. So basically, I don't want to write whole code inside my if condition. So this is the best way to do, right? This is a good way to follow, right? If my message is present, that means there was some error message which was returned. If my error message is there, then I want to return my code from here. Don't go ahead. Got it? Otherwise, go ahead. Now I will write my sign up logic here. So now how do you write sign in sign up logic? So what I will do is, I will first of all check whether this form is a sign in form or a sign up form, and accordingly we will do that, right? So now I will write a if condition, right, where my is sign in. So first of all, let's do for sign up, right? Sign up. So if my form is not is sign in, right, that means sign up, right? I will write the code for sign up, right? And else, right, if my sign in form, so basically I have put a not over here, that means for sign up form, this is my sign up logic, right? I will write my sign up logic here, and here I will write my sign in logic. Here I will write my sign in logic. Got it? So let's just do a sign up and sign in now. Okay, so let's do a sign up and sign in now. So how do I write my sign up logic? First of all, let us write the sign up logic. So to get sign up, to create a user with email password, first of all, let us import these two things, right? So I have to import these two things, right? So I'll have to import these two things. So let me import that, right? Let me import that with us over here. And what we will do is, now we have to do constant auth is equals to get auth, right? We have to do constant auth is equals to get auth. Got it? We have to do constant auth is equals to get auth. And what we will do is, and if you will see clearly, now I want to tell you one more important thing, right? So if you will see each of these APIs, right? If you will see each of these APIs, right? Create user with email password or sign in, all these APIs will need this auth, right? And this auth comes from get auth. Basically, you will find this line everywhere. If you have to call any API, you will have to pass this auth with the email ID, with this API. Got it? So we will now do this in a central place. Okay, so instead of doing auth again and again in each component, we will do that auth once. We will do that auth once and we will use it again and again. Got it? So let me explain it to you. What did I just said? So whatever API you will see, right? Go to any API inside this Firebase documentation. You will find this constant auth is equals to get auth, constant auth is equals to get auth, constant auth is equals to get auth everywhere. Right? So what we will do this in a central place, right? Or basically we will use the same place, right? I will do that auth over here. See, you can do it anywhere you want to, right? You can write it inside the component also. I can do my auth over here also, right? Before I write, I can do the auth here also, but I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this because why to call get auth again and again, right? Just call it once. I am calling it once inside from my Firebase, right? Call a auth, get auth, right? Once you call this get auth, and this get auth come from Firebase /app. Where does get auth come from? Firebase /auth, right? So let me import it from Firebase /auth. Got it? I don't want it here. So in your Firebase.js, right? In your Firebase.js, do this auth and export it from here. Right? Do this auth and export it from here. Got it? Once you will do this auth, now whenever I will need my auth, I will just import it from Firebase. Got it? Whenever I will need this auth, I will import it from Firebase. And now I have to do this, right? Create username with email ID password. Let me just copy paste this, right? Right? Be careful while I can write it whole, right? I can write it whole, but let me copy paste it, right? It basically it gives you a promise, right? It is handling a promise with then object, and it is catching the errors if any. Okay, so it is giving me a code written, so I'm just copy pasting it. Okay, and now I want to write my sign up logic where? Over here inside my if condition. So let me write my sign up logic here, right? This create with username password comes from here. Now I don't need get auth, right? Now I don't need get auth. And this auth over here, right? This auth that we have over here, this auth comes from import auth from where? My dot slash utils slash firebase. Got it? This auth will come from my firebase, util slash firebase. That means this file. This is the auth. Let me repeat everything once again. So whenever you call an API, right, whether it is create user, sign in user, sign up user, whatever API it is, login with username, reset password, change password, all that, right? Register a user, change username, change name, password, date, what. Every time you will have to do this auth is equals to get auth. So instead of doing it again and again, I have done it once inside my firebase.js, right? I have done it here once, I have exported it, and now I will use it everywhere I want to, right? So basically now this auth is not coming from there, it is coming from a central place. It is coming from a central place, right? From Firebase. Now, when you do create user with email ID password, you will have to send auth. Then you have to give email and password. So what email and password? The value of email name and password over here, right? This is my React app. Let me close it. This is my React app. Whatever is there inside my email and password, this value I have to pass in, right? I have to pass the auth information. I have to pass in email, I have to pass in password. How will I get my email? My email is email.current.value, remember? And my password is password.current.value. So basically, instead of this email and password, I will pass in these two, right? I will pass in these two, right? So basically, my create user with email and password will take auth, it will take email ID, it will take password value. Now, this is what you need to do to create a user. Now, once you call this API, it will create a user on Firebase and will give you a response. If my response is success, let me just log it. Let me just do a console log over here. If my response is success, it will give me a user object, right? It will give me a user object, okay? It is signed in and it will sign me in automatically. Basically, whenever you are signing up, you are creating an user and it signs me in automatically, right? And if there is an API in that error, right? If there is an error in the API, it will go into this catch block and it will catch this error, right? So if there is an error, what we'll do if there is an error? Let us set our error message, right? Suppose if this API pass, then it is completely fine. Suppose if this API fails, then let us show the error message, right? We can show the error message anyways. So what we'll do, we will just use this set error message, right? I will do a set error message here also. And I will set the message which is coming from the API, right? This is the error returned, error code and error message, right? Sorry, error code and error message. So let me print it, right? Error code. Let me show both error code and error message both, right? Let me show error code plus error message, right? It will just concatenate error code and error message and show it. Let me give a hyphen in between, right? So that it looks better if it shows some error. Cool. So now it will show me error code and error message if there is an error. And if there is no error, it will just log the user, right? I have done the sign up, right? This is the sign up logic. Got it? If the user signs up, this will happen. Are we ready to sign up? Are we ready to sign up using our email ID and password? Are we ready to sign up with email ID and password? Let us see, right? Shall we do that? Let me write Akshay Saini here, right? We have not done name yet, right? I will show you. So while we are registering a new user, create user with email password. So it does not take a name inside it. It just creates a user with email and password. We will update the name later on. So don't worry. I will write that logic also. For now, I am just creating the user with email ID password. Okay. So let's write email ID password. Akshay Saini. Let me write Akshay at the rate. Let's call it as Akshay at the rate gmail.com. Gmail.com. Okay. And let's create a password as capital AKSHAY Akshay at the rate 1234. Right? And let me click on sign up. When I click on sign up, my dear friends, do you know, right, what will happen? When I click on sign up, first it will check for whether it is validated. If everything is valid, it will see if this is a sign up form or a sign in form. I have written not over here. That means it is a sign up form. For sign up form, it will just call this API and it will register a user. Let us see if this works. Right? Let us see if this works, my dear friend. Right? Let me click on sign up. Let us click on sign up. Let's go to network call. Did this API call happen? Yes, this API call happened. See this. This is an API call that happened, isn't it? This is an API call that happened. No, this is not API call. This is this image loading, right? I am fetch XHR, right? If I go to fetch call, see this. This is the sign up call. This is the sign up happened, right? We call this Google APIs. This is the sign up call, right? And it was success. It is showing 200 and it returned us some data, right? It returned us some data. It returns up some token. It returns us. That means our call was successful. It gave me 200. And if we see console, we got the user object with us. That means the user was signed up on the Firebase app. That means the user has been signed up. And we have got this user. Right? It has signed up the user already. Right? And we have got some token also. You know what happens? Whenever the user signs up, right? Whenever the user sign in or sign up, so Firebase creates an access token and give it to us. This is the access token it will use, right? This is the access token it will use to verify the authentication, right? It will give, and there will be a user also, right? It will give me a UID. It will give me a name. See this, this was the email ID, right? And the display name is null because right now we have not passed in name over here, right? We have not updated name. But the user was successfully registered. That means the user was successfully registered, my dear friends. Amazing, right? Isn't it amazing? It is amazing, right? So once we have registered this user, what should have happened in our app? When I sign up, and if the user was successfully signed up, then I should take him to browse page, right? We will write that logic, don't worry. Right? As soon as the user was successfully signed up, we will move him to browse page. Okay, it will redirect to browse page. Okay, so that means our user was successfully signed up. Okay, this was our sign up logic. This happened successfully. There was no error. Got it? This was a sign up thing. Now, once it signed up, I should take him to browse page. I will write that logic, but before that, let us also complete the sign-in logic, right? Let us also write the sign-in logic. It is very easy, my dear friends. Very easy. The sign-in logic is also very easy, right? Go back to the documentation, right? So create a password with, first of all, let us also see on Firebase whether the user was even registered or not, right? Shall we test? Let me show it to you. Let us test, right? Let's go to Firebase, right? Let's go to firebase.google. Right? Let's go to our console, right? Where is our NetflixGPT? Here is our NetflixGPT. Let's go to authentication. Go to authentication once again. If you'll see in user, see this. Akshay@gmail is registered now. When was this account created? On August 20, 2023. Got it? The user was registered. The user was registered. Let us try to register one more user, right? I keep opening Netflix, right? Let us try to register one more user. Let's call it as Akshay123. And let me keep my name same and let me keep my password same. Let me do a sign up and let's see if it passes. Sign up. and it will take some time, and it registered us, right? That means it created another user, akshay123@gmail.com. And if I go over here, let me refresh the page, or let me click on this reload. See this, we have two users now. It registered successfully with the user UUID. Got it? So Firebase is working exactly fine. We are able to register our user perfectly fine. Okay, now let's try to write login, right? Let's try to implement login now, right? So let's go back to the documentation. If we go back to the documentation, right? If we go back to the documentation, let me close this. Let me go back to the documentation. There is a function which is known as sign in with email and password, right? This sign in with email and password again takes an auth, right? The same auth that we have in our Firebase config, the same auth. It takes an email, it takes a password, and it returns us the user. It signs in the user. What do you mean by sign in? Sign in, basically it sets up the cookie. It basically gives us an access token so that we can communicate with Firebase. We can authenticate it. Got it? That is what is sign in, right? So let us implement sign in also. Right? Let us implement sign in also. So let me copy paste again this code. Right? Let me copy paste again this code. We will do the same way, right? Just like we created the user, right? And we handled the success and the failure. Similarly, we will have the sign in logic over here, right? Basically, I'm closing the sign up form. Now I will write the sign in logic, right? Here is my sign in logic. This sign in with email and password will come from where? It will come from same Firebase/auth, right? There is a Firebase/auth library here, and we will have our sign in with email and password, and it will take our auth. This auth is same as this, which will come from Firebase. I have passed in email ID and password. I have to pass in email ID and password. So let us pass the same, right? Let us pass the same ref. We are using useRef over here. We have learnt a lot of things in this episode, isn't it? Isn't it? We have learned useRef, we have learned form, we have learned form validations, we have learned how to handle all this form data, how to sign in, sign up. We have learned a lot of things today, isn't it? Amazing, right? I want to give you these amazing things. Don't worry, right? It's amazing. We will learn how to implement GPT also. We'll soon see how we can fetch the data from ChatGPT inside our movie recommendations. Got it? So amazing thing, right? So now when the user is success, so let me just do a console log for now, right? If the user is success, right? If the user is success, just print the user, right? Don't do anything. Basically, when the user signs in, I want to go to browse page, right? I want to go to that browse page, but for now I am just not doing anything. I want to test this form. And suppose if there is an error in this API, then just do a set error message, right? Set error message of error code, and then just add a hyphen in between, and then a error message. Got it? The same thing, just like we had our sign in form with that side, that's how we have a sign up form and a sign in form. Both of these form are here, right? So let us now test whether we are signing in up properly or not, right? Let us go back and let us see if we are signing in properly or not. Where is this? Let's go to our sign in form, right? If we go to our sign in form, right? Akshay123, and we have our password, right? What? No. Let's go to akshay@gmail.com, right? gmail.com. Got it? And we have, did we save the password, right? And let me sign in. If I click on sign in, here I should see the log, right? If the API is success. Cool. So that means it was logged in, right? It gave me an access token again, right? This gave me the access token once again. And the user was logged in with the email ID akshay@gmail.com. Amazing, right? Isn't it amazing? The login and sign up is working perfectly fine, right? The login as well as sign up is perfectly working fine. Got it? We have implemented this. Amazing, right? Now, what will happen? We have to implement one more cool thing. If the user sign up or if the user sign in, right? We will get this user object. We will get this user object. And I will have to keep the user object with us because I can need this user object anywhere in my app, right? So what I will do is, as soon as the user sign in or sign up, I will just add all that data to my Redux store. What I will do, once my user sign in, once my user sign up, I will add my user to my Redux store. Got it? I will add the data to my Redux store and will navigate the user to my browse page. Got it? So let me write that logic. Before I write this logic, I want you all to go back, take a pause, and implement this sign in, sign up feature in your app. Register your Firebase app, deploy your app once, see how it works if you haven't done already. Go to Firebase documentation, read it up, and then let us do a sign in and sign up. And once you have done till here, everything is working fine. Then we will see, oh, we haven't tested the failure case, right? Let's try to log in with random thing, right? Let's try to log in with random email ID and password. And let us see, right? We have not tested the errors, right? Let us see the password wrong, right? Let us click on this. It says that password not valid. Okay, this is our own native error checking. But let us see if my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Let us see if my Firebase password is valid or not, right? Try to signing in the user. See this. This is the error which is coming from Firebase now. Auth, user not found. That means the user is not found. Understood? We are trying to log in with this random email ID and there is no user registered. So Firebase is giving us this error. And we are showing it over here. You can show a beautiful error message instead of this, right? You can show a beautiful error message, show it a beautiful error message if the error code is user not found. But you understood, right? We are able to. Our sign in, sign up is working perfectly fine, right? Our sign in and sign up is working perfectly fine. Got it? So now what we'll do, now we will go ahead, we will create a Redux store. We will, as soon as the user logs in, we will push the data onto Redux store and we will do a lot of cool things. Okay? So let's take a quick break and let's come back once again and let's continue building our awesome, cool project, NetflixGPT. Welcome back, my dear friends. Now we built the sign in and sign up feature inside our app, right? We were able to successfully sign up a user, and once the user is signed up, we are successfully able to sign him in, right? Now it is time to go ahead, and what we will do now is try to push this user, that user object that we get, right? The user information that we get into our Redux store. Okay? We will put that information into our Redux store. Okay? How do we do? Now we will have to set up our Redux store, isn't it? Right? So let us set up our Redux store. Okay? Now let us set up our Redux store and it will be amazing. So how do you set up a Redux store? For that, I will be using Redux Toolkit. Hope you remember Redux Toolkit. We have already used it. So what you have to install, the two libraries. We installed two libraries for Redux Toolkit, right? What are those two libraries? So first of all is npm i-d redux hyphen, sorry, @ right? @ redux.js hyphen toolkit, right? redux.js hyphen toolkit. First library is @redux.js /toolkit. And there is one more library which is npm install and then React Redux and then React Redux. Got it? So we have these two libraries and let me install it, right? We have installed this React Redux and Redux.js toolkit with us, right? Now how do we create a store? Do you remember or not? Or have you forgotten already? Right? Have you forgotten or not? Right? Or remember? Let's build our store, right? In our utils, let's add a app store.js, right? let's create a appstore.js. Right, we have a appstore.js. Now how do we create a app store? I will create an app store, and there is something known as configure store. Do you remember this? And this configure store comes from our Redux.js toolkit. What does this store takes? What does this store takes, my dear friends? What does this store takes? Do you remember it? It will take a configuration. And what will this configuration have? It will have a reducer. And this reducer will have different reducers from different slices. Hope you remember it, right? And we will just export default our app store. I will export default our app store. Now, once we have a store, let us create a slice. Remember, how do we create a slice? Let's create a user slice. User slice.js. Right? How do we create a user slice? Constant user slice is equals to create slice. Right? Create slice. And this create slice come from Redux.js toolkit. Right? In this create slice, what all information do we have? Remember, first is name is user, and then we will have initial state of the user. What should be the initial state of user? Let's keep it null, right? Null. When there is no user, make it null, right? And then initial state, and then we will also add reducers, right? We will add reducers, and over here we will add different type of reducer functions, right? First of all, let's add a add user, right? As soon as we log in, this reducer action will be dispatched. Add user. We will dispatch add user, and we will add the user to our Redux store. And we will also create a remove user. Suppose the user sign out, right? We will build sign out also, right? When I click on sign out, then this user should again remove my object, right? So let's add user, right? Let's add user state, and then action dot payload, right? Got it? So this is one function, add user, and similarly we will have another function which will be remove user, right? Let's call it as remove user from our store, right? Not action.payload, basically just action, sorry, my bad, right? My bad. So if I am adding the user, I will pass in this user information from here inside action. So it will just return my action.payload, right? Action.payload, right? So what do you mean by, what happens if I return something from here? So initial state is null. If I return my action.payload from here, this state will become action.payload, right? Or else, if I want to remove the user, I will just return null from here. Got it? So this is how I create my user slice. Now, what do we export it from here? If you don't understand this, go back and check out my Let's Build Our Store session, right? We have covered everything about Redux in detail over there, right? If you have forgotten. Now I will export by default my reducer, right? Export default my user slice.reducer. Remember, user slice.reducer. And I will also export my actions, right? I will export constant, right? Some actions, user slice.actions. And what actions will I export? I will just export my add user and remove user. Did you understand this? First of all, I created a store, app store, right? App store, configure store, reducer. Then I created my user slice, create slice, name, initial state is null, reducers, for each reducer function, add user, I am just returning action.payload, I am returning null, right? So this is how you do it. And I have exported my actions as well as reducer. Now I have exported this reducer, right? I want to import this reducer and put it up in store, right? I want to import my, right, user reducer, right? User slice reducer, right? Or let me call it as user reducer only. User reducer from my dot slash, right? Where dot slash utils, nahi. Where am I? I am over here and my user slice is here only. So it will be like dot slash, right? It will be dot slash user slice, right? From my user slice, I will get my user reducer, and over here I will add my user and my user reducer. Got it? I will get my user reducer and I will add it over here. We have set up our store perfectly fine. Now I have to provide my store to my app, right? On the root of my application, I will provide my store. Where is my app.js? Here is our body. I can add my store over here. How do I provide store to my body? I can just import my provider. This provider will come from my React Redux. Don't forget this. This provider will come from my React Redux. And this provider, right? And I will wrap my body inside provider. Right? I am wrapping my body inside this provider. And this provider will take a store. And this store will take app store. Right? And where will this app store come from? This app store comes from my utils / app store. Did you understand this? First thing, I created a store. Second thing, I created a slice. Then I added the slice reducer onto my store. And then I am providing my store. If you don't understand this, I have done it very fast, right? When I was getting, last time when I was teaching you this React reducers and this whole Redux. So basically I'm using Redux, right? So I was teaching Redux, right? In our episode, I took 4 hours to explain this small thing. And now we have done it so fast, isn't it? Because we know the basic concept. Remember that diagram? When we click on that add button and all that stuff. Cool. So now we have provided our store to our body. Amazing, right? So we have provided our store to our body. If we'll go to our app and if we will see, let me start my app, npm start. If I start my app, we have a Redux toolkit extension, right? We have a Redux extension, right? Redux DevTools. If you'll go over here, you should be able to see that slice, right? Did we initialize it? Cool. I do not see an app over here. Why? Why is user not here? Cool. So we have our user over here, right? Let me refresh my page. And if I go over here, right? See this. We have a user null over here. So that means our store is set up completely fine. Our store is set up completely fine. We have set up our Redux store. Right? So now let me go to my readme file. Where is my readme file? And let me write down. I have created sign up user account. Then implement sign in. Implement sign in user API. Sign in user API. We did this. And then we created our user account. Nahin. We created our store, right? Redux store. We created our Redux store with user slice. Okay. We did till here. Now what we will do next thing? Is as soon as my user sign in or sign up, I want to update my store. I want to update my user slice with that user information. Got it? So how do I do that? Cool. So now, how do I do that? Now you must be thinking, let me get rid of this Firebase. Let me get rid of validate. Let me get rid of this app.js now. Let me get rid of this app store now. I have gone to login.js. Yes. Right. So suppose if my user sign up or sign in or sign up, right? This is my sign in form, right? Where is my sign in? Here, right? So here is my create user sign up API, create user API. So as soon as I created my user, if it is success, then here I can dispatch an action from here. I can dispatch an action and append this user, right? We have got this user data, right? We have got this user object once we log in, right? Once we log in and sign up, we get this user. I can push this user information to my I can push this user information to my Redux store. But I will not do that here. Why? So I'll have to dispatch the action from here also. And then I will have to write the dispatch action when I sign in also, right? So basically, what I can do is I can write a dispatch action here. I can write a dispatch action here, right? So instead of doing that dispatch again and again, and wherever I will implement my sign out, right, there will also I will have to dispatch an action. So instead of dispatching action here and there, random things again and here, we will use a utility which is given to us by Firebase, right? We will use a utility which is given to us by Firebase, which is known as on auth state changed. Okay, instead of doing it when I sign in or sign up, I will do it on auth state changed. Okay, and I'll tell you why we are doing that. So there is, if you'll go to Firebase documentation, go to manage users once, right? Manage users. In manage users, Firebase gives us an amazing API. That API is known as on auth state changed. This on auth state changed API, right? This API is called whenever the user sign in, whenever the user sign up, wherever the user sign out, whenever there is an authentication state change, whenever there is some authentication happens, right? Suppose if you create a user, if you sign in something and you want to do something on this auth change, right? If you want to handle that auth change thing, then use this API. Then you have to use this API. Whenever there is a auth change, this is kind of like an event listener. If the user will sign in, if the user will sign up, if the user sign out, this will be called automatically, right? This will be called automatically. Awesome, right? It's kind of like an event listener. So I want to add this to my app, and what I will do is I will do state changes within it. Whenever the user sign up or sign in, just add it to the store, right? If the user sign out, remove it from the store. I will handle all that from here, right? So how do I do this? I will use this API. Now, where should I write that code? On auth change, right? Where should I write that, right? Let me write it on app level, right? Let me go to my body, or let me go to body, right? On the root level. So here we have our body, right? Here we have our body.js, right? Here we have our body. Here we were routing things up. Now, what I will do is I will route accordingly, right? What I will do is I will implement it over here, right? I basically wanted to do it on the root level, right? Basically on the root level. Either I can write it over here or I can write it on app.js. To be very honest, it does not matter much, right? You can write it wherever you want to. Okay? You can write it wherever you want to. Got it? So you can write it either in body, or you can write it either in app level. Got it? Either you can write it over here in body, or you can write it on app level. So now what we will do is I want to call this API, but this is kind of like an event listener. I don't want to call this API again and again, right? I don't want to call this API again and again. When I want to call this API, I want to add this event listener only once. So how do I do something once inside my component, once after my component renders? It is using use effect. So I will add this inside my use effect. So what will happen is inside my use effect, I will add this API, right? And make sure to add this empty parenthesis. Hope you remember why do we add this empty parenthesis? When I was talking about class-based component, then I explained this, right? So if you don't remember, go back and check out my class-based component series. This will be clear, right? So in my use effect, here I will call that on auth state change, right? On auth state change, where it is on auth state changed, right? Let me copy paste once again, right? So whenever my on auth state change happens, right? Whenever my on auth state change happens, right? And this on auth state change will come from my Firebase/auth, right? Let me copy it from here, this line, right? And my on auth state change will come from my Firebase/auth, right? And this auth will come from my Firebase, right? This auth will come from my Firebase. Got it? So I have my on auth state change user. If the user is signed in, then I will get my user over here. So now, you know what? The beauty of this is I will get my UID like this, right? If my user is signed in, I will get my UID like this. And similarly, right, I can extract a lot more information from the user. It will give me this user object, right? Not just UID, I can get my email ID also, right? I can get my email ID, right? Email. I can get my display name. I can get a lot of cool things, right, from this user object that I get from here, right? And here I will update my store. Got it? So this, if my user is present, that means this is the sign in case and this is the sign out case. So now you understood, right? If my user signs up for the first time, then also this will be called, right? Then also this will be called. If my user sign in, then also this will be called. If my user sign out, then also this will be called. So basically all my user store update, right? If I have to update my user inside the store, right? So all those updates I can do it from one place. Isn't it amazing? Otherwise we would have to write that whole logic here and there, right? Random places. I don't want to do that, right? I only want to do that inside from the one place. Got it? So let's do that, right? So now how do you dispatch an action from here? Before we dispatch an action, I want that dispatch, right? So I want that dispatch. So this is my app router. On top of it, always, whenever you are writing a hook, right? Dispatch, dispatch dispatch is equals to use dispatch from Redux. So whenever you are using this hook, right, always use hook on the top of your component, right? So this is the component, use it on the top. The first thing should be your hooks. Got it? And the rest of the things after that, right? So rest of the things after that, first thing should be hooks. So I have my dispatch function over here. Now I will use this dispatch to dispatch an action, right? I will dispatch an action, and that action is add user action, right? Add user, right? And this add user is imported from my user slice, isn't it? I will add my user, and in my user, I will add an object with my UID colon UID email colon email display name colon display name, right? Basically, I will all add my UID, email ID, display name into my store, right? I will put it up in my store, and as much data as you want to, you can put it up on your store, right? And suppose if my user sign out, right? Suppose if my user sign out, then I want to dispatch another action, right? Then I want to dispatch another action, and that action is remove user. Remember, and this user, remove user, and basically I don't want to pass anything over here because if you will see over here in my user slice, this user remove slice, it does not take care of this action, right? It does not need this action.payload. Got it? So this is an amazing thing. This is an amazing thing. So whenever my user, so let me recap it once again. Why did we use effect? Because I want to do this once. I have to set up this kind of an event listener for once, right? And what I have to do this, and I have to do this once. So I am using use effect along with this empty parenthesis. Now, one more important thing is, whenever my user sign in or sign up, this part will be executed and I will add the user to the store. And if the user sign out, then this part will be executed. Amazing. I can control everything from single place. Now, what we have to do is, I also have to, right, as soon as my user sign in or sign in, right, as soon as the user sign in, right. So basically, I want to redirect him to the browse page. Let us do that here only, right? Let us do that here only. How do you take the user to another page from code? So there is something known as navigate, right? There is something known as navigate. Okay, navigate, which is coming from use navigate hook. Sorry, there is a use navigate hook. This use navigate hook will come from my React router DOM, right? See this. From my React router DOM, right? This use navigate hook. And I can use this navigate to navigate right now. So if I will write, I will update my store. And if my user is logged in, I will just navigate him to the URL /browse. Did you understand this? Let me repeat it once again. I have written this use navigate hook. I am using this use navigate hook. This React router DOM is giving to us. And I will just navigate him to /browse. And if the user sign out, right? If the user sign out, then I want to navigate him to main page. If my user sign out, then I want to navigate him to my main page. Do you understand this now? Amazing, right? Do you understand this? Got it. So now let us I have written a lot of code and I haven't even seen the app, right? Let me go back. Oh my God. Okay, I have got this error. You may only use use navigate inside of our router Okay. Got it. Why it is giving an error? It is because I am trying to use this navigate function outside my router provider. Basically, see, my slash and /browse will be formed inside this, right? So basically, I should write this navigate function. I should use this use navigate inside, like some child component of body, not in the body component, right? So basically, the problem is I have put my router inside body. Ideally, I should have to put my router on my app level, right? Ideally, I should have to put this router on the app level. Did you understand that? Do you understand that? I'll have to put my router onto app level. But anyways, right? Don't worry. So what we can do is we can use this on auth state change inside my where? Oh my God, I have stuck into a problem now. I can't navigate from here. So let me tell you, my dear friends, we cannot write this navigate over here because it should be done inside the router provider. Basically, not on the top level, right? It's inside router provider means inside browse or header or login, right? All these components are inside the routing, right? So basically, this body component itself has routing, right? So basically it's like a parent component. So it can only be done inside, this navigate can only happen inside my children components. Okay. So if you can't do from here, there are multiple solutions to it, right? One solution is not use navigate, but use the normal window.location.href, right? But that like a normal redirection, right? Remember how do we do it? Like a normal window.location.href, but that's not a good way, right? A good way is to use navigate only. So if we cannot do this, the second solution to this issue is, see, while coding live, we get into such bugs, right? But this is important, right? I am telling you all the possible solutions to this problem, right? First solution is either to use window.location.href kind of thing, right? To navigate it without using this navigate, without using this use navigate. The second solution to this is move your router out. Basically, this routing strategy is in body, right? Move it at app level, right? Move it outside, right? And do that inside. Got it? So the second strategy is that, right? But I have written a lot of code, so I don't want to do that. The third strategy is don't use navigate over here, but navigate it from some other place. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to navigate it when the user sign in or sign up, right? So let's go to our login page. I can navigate it from here, right? I can just, so basically let me remove this also. So basically what we can do is I can do a lot of things here, right? So basically what I can do is when my user logs in and if it is a successful login, let me navigate from here. What is the issue, right? If the user successfully navigated, let me navigate to browse, and over here also let me navigate to browse, right? Where will this navigate come from? Navigate is again a hook, right? Use navigate, constant navigate is equals to use navigate. Easy, right? You have multiple solution, do it however you wish to, right? So for now, this is the best solution which is coming to my mind, but don't you worry, right? So we have got this use navigate from here. Let's go back and let's see if the error is fixed or not. Cool. If I refresh my page, our errors are gone now and our app is running fine. Let me just log in. Let me do akshay@gmail.com and the password was capital A K S H A Y akshay@1234 and 5 or whatever, right? 1234 or 12345. Let's see. Let's do 12345 first. Let me hit sign in. Oh, the wrong password. I think it was 1234. Okay. So if I do 1234, let me sign in. See this. We are navigated to our browse. We are navigated to our browse page and we are successfully navigated to our browse page. How cool is that? How cool is that? How cool is that? Isn't it? We have been successfully navigated to our browse page. That means, oh my God, it says check your saved password. The password that you answered was found in data breach. Oh my God, Akshay@1234 found in data breach, right? No thanks. Let me first of all, I don't want to save my password. How do I not save my password? Cool. Anyways, so I was redirected to the browse page. Did you understand this? And an amazing thing, let me show you. If we will see our store, right? Our store has this user. See this. Our add user was called. Our add user was called and we already have the user UID, the email, the display name is null because we have not added display name. We will add it soon, right? And it took me out to the browse. It is logged in now. We are logged in, my dear friends. We are logged in now. Amazing, isn't it? Amazing. So now let's build sign out also, right? Shall we build sign out? Let's build sign down feature, right? If we build sign out feature, let's build sign out feature. How do you build sign out feature? Right? So let's go to let's make a header, right? Let's first of all add the header in our browse page, right? Let's add the header in our browse page. In our browse page, let's add the header first of all, right? We will have header component, right? We have added header to it, right? And now, oh my God, this header looks like this. Okay. So we will have to give it width of full screen, right? Where is my header component? Here is my header component. And let me give it width of full, right? Width of screen. That means width of full screen. Cool. Now my header looks cool. So we have the Netflix logo. I want a sign out option. Let's build a sign out option over here, right? Shall we build a sign out option? Right? Shall we build a sign out option? Okay, let's build it. Let me sign into Netflix first of all, right? Let me sign into Netflix first of all and let us go to browse page once, right? If I go to my browse page, this is my browse page, right? So this is my browse page. Do you see on the top, we have a user icon, right? We have a user icon and we have a sign out option over here, right? So let's build Let me see if I can get this user icon. Let's add this cool user icon, right? I like this user icon. Where is that user icon? Do you have that user icon there? Cool. I have this image, right? This is my user icon. Let me get the URL of this user icon. Okay. And let me add this user icon in my header, right? So in my header, I have one more image with us. Oh my God. Okay. This is the URL. So let's build a div, and inside my div, let me build a img tag, and let me call this as a alt and user icon, right? I can also save images of the user, you know what, right? But I don't want images right now. I'm using a default user icon. src is equals to my icon URL, and that's all, right? I have my image with us, and let us also create a sign in button here, right? Sign out button, sorry. Let's create a sign out button, right? Button is equals to sign out. Okay, so we have a sign out button over here. Cool. We have a sign out button. Let's see how it looks. Let me go back to my page. Okay, we have this user and sign out, right? And let me make this a flex. Div class name flex, right? Cool. So they come like this. Now I have to let's make this on the left and right, right? Let's make this up properly, right? Let's make this flex. Let's make the parent as flex, right? So these come in same line, and now I will just move this to the extreme right. How will I move this to the extreme right? I will do a flex, or I will do a justify between, right? Justify between. So if I'll do justify between, it will push this to right and left side. Now this user icon looks ugly. Why? This user icon looks ugly. Let me give it class name of width of maybe 8. I don't know what width would suit it. Width of 8, no. Width of 12 maybe. Width of 12 and height of 12. Right? Cool. Now this looks cool, right? And let me give it some padding margin, right? So that it looks much better, right? Let me give it padding of 4 all around. Let me see how 4 looks. No, the 4 doesn't look good. Or let me give padding to the whole div, right? Padding of 2, right? Let's see. Cool. This looks much better. So basically, I am not building like Netflix. If you click on this, it pulls this down and it gives you a sign out option over here. I'm just making it like this, right? Just do it yourself. If you click on this, there should be a pop-up which is coming down, right? You just have to, right? You just have to add a component, and then you have to put in some CSS to align it there. Got it? So you can do that. But I am just creating a sign out button like this, right? I'm creating a sign out button like this, and let me change this text to maybe white or something. Or maybe let's make it a button, right? Let's make it a button. Let's make it look like a button. What I'm trying to say is class name background equals to red. Let's give it a red background or something, right? Red 500. How will it look? Yep. Here we have a sign out button. This looks ugly, by the way, right? This looks ugly. This looks ugly. This looks ugly, isn't it? It looks ugly, right? Let's not give it a background. Let's maybe increase the font of it. Let's make it bold, right? And let's give it a text color of maybe white. Text white, right? Let's make it white. Let's see if it looks better. Cool. This looks much better, right? Now the sign out looks much better. And let's make it font bold, right? It's not font bold, it's font bold. My typo, font bold. Cool. Now it looks like a sign out, right? If I click on this sign out, now I want to sign out, right? So how do you find the sign out button, right? Let me go and find out the sign out API. Where is my, in the manage user would be there, right? Where is my sign out API? Is there a sign out API here somewhere? Where is our sign out API? Maybe in password authentication. In authentication, do we have a sign out API? So see, I am also struggling to find it. Whenever I want to do it, I just go and read out. Oh, this is the sign out API. So read out the documentation. And if you still don't find anything, just on the top search, right? This search is very good, right? Just write sign out, right? It will give you the sign out API, right? If you will write sign out, it will show you the places of sign out API. See this, right? So it will take you to the place where you have sign out API, right? Here is our sign out API. Got it? This sign out, again take this auth, right? Let me just copy this API, right? Sign out, take this auth, right? Let me go back to my header, and on click of this button, I want to sign out, right? On click of this button, let me do handle sign out, right? I want to do handle sign out. Let me create a function handle sign out, right? And handle sign out. And what we can do is, in handle sign out, I want to sign out. Let me just sign out, and this sign out will come from my Firebase/auth, right? This will come from my Firebase/auth, and this auth will come from my Firebase, right? This auth will come from my Firebase. Got it? And if successfully sign out, then what I have to do is I have to navigate, right? I have to navigate to my home page, right? My login page. Got it? This navigate is not this navigate. This navigate is something else. I want to get use navigate from here. Use navigate, and I want to have my constant navigate. Navigate is equals to use navigate hook. Do you see that? I have built this use navigate. I am using this use navigate over here. So as soon as you sign out, okay, when you sign out, you also have to dispatch an action, isn't it? I have to make the user empty, right? So don't forget that. Dispatch an action to remove user. Dispatch an action. Okay, I think the dispatch action will happen from there, right? On auth state change. Okay, it will automatically remove the object. I just have to navigate from here. And if I catch an error, then navigate it to error page, right? We don't have an error page, but we assume that we have an error page, right? We will build this one, right? Can you build an error page, right? We will build a cool error page, right? We will build a cool error page if it errors out. Got it? So we have the sign out now. Let us check our sign out flow once again. Let me go back to our app, refresh the page. And now if I click on this button, see this, we signed out. So you know how to sign out the user, you know how to sign in the user, and we are ready to log into our app, right? We have our app, we can log in, and as soon as we log in, sign in, it takes us to our browse page, right? It takes us to our browse page, and amazing, right? Over here we will see the movies and all that stuff. We will do that, right? But before that, I have implemented sign in, sign out, and I have implemented on auth state change. I've implemented a lot of things. Now, one more thing is left, right? Let us do that thing. I have not added a display name yet, right? There should be a display name also, right? When the user is created, it should have a display name, right? So what we can do is, I can do one more thing. How do you add display name? Let's go back to our authentication, right? Manage users. I think manage users, right? If you have this manage users, over here in this manage users in web, manage users, right? This is not a correct page. Manage users in Firebase. Over here, get user profile. See all these API, right? I would want you to see all these APIs. Update a user profile, right? See, we can update a user profile by update profile API, right? So let us update the user profile API. How do you update the user profile API? Right? By this API. Let's call this API. So let us call this API once I create. See, this is the sign up form, right? Once I sign up and a user is created, now I will update, right? Now I will update update the profile, and this update profile will come from my Firebase auth, right? This update profile will come from my Firebase auth, right? Where is my update profile? This is there. Now it wants auth.current user. So auth.current user is this user, right? So user, right? And then I want to update my display name, right? I can update my display name to basically Akshay Saini, right? And I can add my display name to the name which I entered, right, while registering. So this is the name, right? Name.current.value basically, right? So basically I should change it to name.current.value, name.current.value, and I can also have my photo URL, right? I can also have my photo URL. Can I get a photo URL somehow, right? Can I get a photo URL? Photo URL. Oh, let me take a GitHub photo URL, right? Can I take my GitHub photo URL? Copy image address, right? Yep. Let's put this. Let me put this photo URL. I'm just hard coding it for now, right? I'm just hard coding it, right? I have put in this photo URL, and once my profile is updated, then navigate, right? Once my profile is updated, then navigate. So basically what I am doing is, as soon as a new user is registered and they are successfully registered, right? As soon as a new user is successfully registered, I am updating the profile with the name and photo URL. Got it? And if there is an error, then set error. Where is the set error? Set error message with error message, right? Error.message. Got it? So this is how you can do it. Now let us just see if my name and photo URL is updated or not, right? And once you log in, we can also, once you log in your, right? Once you log in, we should display that photo also on the app, right? Over here. Let me sign out and let us create a new user. Sign up now. Let's create a new user. And let me just add my user Akshay Saini, right? And let's give this email ID as netflix@akshay.com, right? Random email ID. And let me have a password as, Chrome is suggesting us some passwords, right? No. So let me give my password as Akshay@1234 once again. I don't know why I'm using that password, but anyways, sign up. Cool. So what happened is, do you see this? Do you see this amazing thing? I have saved this username password, and now I am logged in, and this basically would have created a new user and would have updated the name of the user also. And if we will see this, right? Will I see the name of the user over here? Okay, display name is null. Why this is null? Because of my on auth state change, right? Where is my on auth state change? That is on app.js. No, on body.js. In this on auth state change, I have to push in the display name from the user. Why it did not happen? I am putting the display name, and I also want to put the photo URL, right? Photo URL, and here photo URL. Why it's not happening? Photo URL. I think I did some mistake there, right? Where is my login? Update profile display name is name.current.value, and photo URL is photo URL. It should have happened. It did happen, right? See this. I did not do anything. What happened? It suddenly changed. It suddenly got added somehow. Right? Display name and photo URL. Now it is coming correctly. What was the problem? Let me sign out. Right? Now I have signed out. Let me see my user. My user is null. Right? My user is null. And if I sign up again, let's use a Netflix GPT, right? Netflix GPT. Let's use the name NetflixGPT. Let's use the email ID as maybe netflix@akshay.com, right? Netflix@akshay.com, and there is a password. Let me sign up. I'm creating. Oh, there is email already in use, right? Let's use Netflix123@akshay.com and sign up. Netflix123 and akshay.com. So save this password. And now if I'll go to my user and if I see a new user, display name and photo URL is null. Why is it null? This is insane, right? If I refresh the page, it works. If I refresh the page, it works. Let's go to the next part. Let us try to use this photo URL here, and if I can see, if I can show you that, right? Photo URL. I don't know if I go to header, right? How will I use my photo URL over here in my header if I want to? How will I use my photo URL? Yup, I can use a use selector. You are absolutely right. So I will use my use selector constant. Basically, I will find out the user from the store, right? Use selector. I will do a use selector. I will subscribe to my store, and my store basically will give me store.user, right? I will get my user, and I can, instead of this URL, I can just have the URL which I get from my store, right? Which I get from my store, right? What is the URL? Photo URL user dot photo URL, right? Photo URL. Cool. Let's see if that works. Cool. See this? I have got my cool photo over here. Amazing, isn't it? Right? If I sign out, if I click on sign out, it breaks our app. If I click on sign out, basically it says that user photo URL is not present. Cool. Right? Let me sign in and sign out once again. Right? Oh, see this, we have got this bug also. So basically I want to show this only when I am signed in, right? Basically I want to show this thing. I want to show this sign out button only when I am signed in, right? So display this div only when somebody is signed in, right? So how will I find out somebody is signed in or not? We have got this user, right? So only load this portion when we have user. Got it, right? So if my user is null, then don't load this, right? If my user and right? Basically when I have my user, then only load this JSX, right? So now it won't show, right? Now on my home page, it will only show this. If I sign in, let's sign in once again, right? Using the password. If I sign in once again, cool, it shows my ID. Let me show you what the bug was. So suppose if the user signs in, right? So suppose if the user is test user, right? Let me call that as test user, and we have the email ID user001@gmail.com. Okay, so let's have a random email ID user001, and let's have a password also. Let me give it a password, right? I have given it a password. So as soon as I sign up, so first time when the user will sign up, see this, the photo URL and display name does not get updated, right? If you will see the Redux store in user, we have this display name and photo URL as null, right? Even though we have already updated it, right? Basically we have already updated our profile, but this store was not updated, right? The store was not updated. The store was only updated with the UID and email ID that we have got, right? That we are doing from our on auth state change, right? Where is our on auth state change? Yes. So whenever the user sign up, so we are dispatching the add user item over here, right? We are dispatching this action add user, and this is updating our store with these values, right? But it is not updating display name and photo URL. It is not updating display name and photo URL because by that time the photo URL and display URL is not there, right? So it is being called after create user, and after updating the profile, right? After we have added this names, right? We are not setting the store up. So I was thinking about a good solution for this. So a good solution for fixing this issue is that we should dispatch an action right from here, right? I was thinking that should we dispatch a action from here or not? Should I update the store from here or not? But I think that dispatching an action from here does not have any problem with it, right? We can dispatch an action from here itself, right? So basically what will happen is a new user will be created with email ID password, and once it is success, then we will update the profile with the name and photo, and once we have updated these things, we will update our store once again, right? We will update our store once again. Okay, so we will dispatch an action from here, right? So let us write that logic quickly, right, and fix that bug. So let me just get my dispatch function. Dispatch is equals to use dispatch, right? Use dispatch. Okay, and this use dispatch comes from my React Redux. Now we have this dispatch over here. Now I will dispatch my action once I have updated the profile, right? So let me dispatch the action, right? And this dispatch action will, so basically this will dispatch the action and update the user, right? So basically it is exactly like what we are doing over here, right? What we are doing over here in auth state change. So basically we are doing the same thing. Okay, so let me copy code from here, right? I am taking out UID, email ID, display name and photo URL, and I am dispatching the action add user, right? So let me do the same thing over here. So how we will do the same thing? Cool. So let me get this add user, right? Add user, right? This add user will be imported from my user slice, right? So we have this add user, and this UID, email ID, display name and photo URL should not come from this user, right? This user should not come from this user, right? Because this is not the updated user. Basically we will fetch this user now from the updated value from our auth, right? So this auth basically is a utility function, remember? So we will get, if you will extract this from user, right? If you will extract this from user, so user will not have updated value because this user is the unupdated value, right? So we will want a new auth information from here. So how will I get a new auth information? I will do a auth, right? This auth will come from here, right? Our Firebase. This auth is basically coming from that get auth function. Remember this, right? Let us see. So this auth is coming from this get auth function, right? So we are getting this auth, right? And when we have the auth, let us do a auth.current user, right? So basically what I am trying to do over here is I am trying to fetch this, right? I am trying to fetch this UID, email ID, display name and photo URL from the updated value of this user, right? From the updated value, not the older value, right? So make sure to do this, right? Otherwise you will not see a difference, right? It will be same. And now once we have this updated auth information of the current user, now I will dispatch an action. Cool. So let me save it and see if it works or not, right? Let me save it and let me go out, right? Let me sign out. So sign out. Let us go back to our page. If I go to Redux store, we have user as null right now, right? We have user as null. So let us just sign up once again. Let's call this as test user 002 or something, right? 002 and maybe user 002 at the rate netflix.com, right? Netflix.com and maybe password, right? Let me add a password to it, right? I have added a password and let me do a sign up, right? Once I sign up, you will see this. Our user is successfully updated on the first go itself now. Right? The user was successfully updated in the first go itself. The photo URL right? The photo URL was updated. The name also would have been updated. So if I will see over here, add user, right? User. So see this, the display name is test user 002. Got it? So this will fix one of our bugs, right? This will fix one of our bugs. Got it? And it redirects us to the browse page. The best part is our sign in is working, our sign out is working, our sign up is working, our user is working, our Firebase is working, our authentication is working. We are redirecting back to the browse page and everything is working, my dear friends. Amazing, isn't it? Now we are going to move ahead and we are going to create the main Netflix website, right? If I'm this thing, right? We will build all this. Once the user is logged in, he should be able to see the trailer, he should be able to see the movie, he should be able to see the movies, and we will build all this. After a short break, I will come back and then we will build all this, right? Don't worry, there is a lot more things to do. We have just started. Our app is very naive for now, right? But the best part is we are way ahead, right? Now, what we will keep doing is, my dear friends, we will use APIs of TMDB to fetch the movie database, right? There is something called as, let me get rid of Firebase now. Firebase is done, right? And let me get rid of Firebase and let me show it to you. There is something known as TMDB, right? This TMDB is the movie database. This TMDB APIs. You know, why did I use Netflix project and why am I using TMDB APIs? I am using TMDB APIs because it gives you a proper documentation of the latest movies, right? It gives you the proper documentation of the latest movies. You can use their API. It is completely free. It gives you a token. It gives you better authentication. And if you'll go to TMDB API, right? Just write TMDB API on Google. Go to developer.tmdb.com, right? This will give you a lot of APIs, right? We have a movie API. So we will be using this TMDB APIs to fetch the movies and display it onto the net or into our project. And why I'm using this, why I'm not using Netflix API, right? I don't want to use Netflix API, first of all, because Netflix API are not public, right? We cannot use Netflix API like this. You will need authentication for that, right? And and remember when I was doing that, right? When I was building the project of food ordering app, our Swiggy APIs used to change a lot. Now, let me tell you a good part, that the TMDB API does not change often. That means the API that you will use over here are very stable, right? They have not changed API since a long time. I have been using TMDB since a long time, right? They don't change their APIs often. So the best part is our project will be very stable, right? APIs won't keep changing randomly. So we will build the browse page. We will build the exciting whole page, containers and everything. So come back very soon. Let's take a quick break. Implement it till here, right? Implement all these things, right? Let me go back to README file. We have created a Redux store with user slice. We have implemented sign out, right? Implemented sign out feature, right? We have implemented the sign out feature. And what else we have done in this, right? We have changed 15 files. Oh my God. We have done validations. We have written that validations. We have created our store, right? We have implemented sign out. We have added photo and name. We have updated our profile also. We have updated our profile. We have redirected our app. We have done a lot of things, right? So implemented sign out, and we have done update profile API call also, right? I have shown you update profile API call also. Got it? So we have done till now. Now the next thing is we will build movies now, right? We will build movies. Fetch from TMDB, right? TMDB movies. We will fetch movies and we will build our browse page. Okay. We have not built it yet. This is the next step. But for now, let me just commit it till here. What we have done over here is I have validation. I have implemented validation and I have implemented Redux and I have implemented auth. right? So we have done a lot of things in this commit, and let me commit it, right? Save all and commit. So we have built our app till here, right? And now we will do a fetch movie from TMDB movie, right? For now, I want to take a break. I am exhausted. I have been continuously speaking since a long time, right? I want to take a break. You also take a break, implement it till now. Your app should log in, log out, sign up. It goes to browsing page. It should have routing setup. It should have a Redux store. That store should have user object. Everything is done. Now we will build actual Netflix browse app where we will have movies which we will show in, right? So we will build amazing things and hope you are enjoying this project, right? I am putting all my efforts into building this project and hope you will enjoy it. Keep pushing your code to GitHub and keep doing along with me, because if you will just watch this, nothing will happen. Keep pushing your code, keep committing it onto GitHub, right? And that's all I wanted to say. Okay, so let's take a break and come back very soon.